Well, hello there. Here we are once again. I am Caleb Jones. This is Unchained CEO. Location independent income through your own location independent business that you own and control. Moving to a less bad country, or at least setting up an international backup plan. Doing all these things for very little money. Today we're going to discuss how to set up the logistics of your new location independent business. Things like setting up your bookkeeping, setting up your LLC, setting up your website, setting your payment systems, things like that. I'm going to detail on those steps. We're also going to cover at least one, probably two more 90-day business builder case studies. So you guys can learn from guys who have actually done this and made money. Two more guys you haven't heard from. I'll show you those videos. At least one, probably two. The second one is a video I'm actually optimizing right now as we're doing live streams. I don't know if I'll get that. And then Billy will be joining us in about 20 minutes. Because she's really, really good at this stuff, at this logistical stuff, in many ways better than I am. She's a little more better at the micro. I'm pretty good on the macro. The micro I'm not that great at. Paraguay looking good, nice background. You guys really like this background. I was going to set up in this apartment. This is my new apartment, year-round, a perfect permanent apartment. I was going to set up like a backdrop, but you guys give me so many compliments on this background that I'm just going to leave this. It's easy. Those of you who watch this video. By the way, if you prefer the audio version of this is a podcast. You can go to Caleb Jones, that's C-A-L-E-B as in boy, jones.com/podcast. I'm on the top 10, 12 podcast platforms, and this is uploaded every week there. Okay. One quick moment. I'm going to see if I can multitask, which you're not supposed to do. Multitasking is not a good time management technique, but sometimes in weird scenarios like right now, it's unavoidable. So I'm going to download a video and then optimize a video for one of the case studies that we have that we will do a little later. And I'll see if I can do that while maintaining and talking in this live stream. So you can't even tell that I'm doing two things at once. Hang on one quickie moment. Where is record? Zoom changes there. I love how these online platforms constantly change where they put all their buttons. It's great. I'm so glad they do that. It's awesome. Okay, download. Okay, hang on, and I will start answering a few questions with our topic here. Desktop, and okay, great. Wonderful. South America's general aesthetic is my favorite, to be honest. Oh, well, a lot of you like it, and I really like. I don't love the South America aesthetic just because it's South America, but I like it because it's different. So I like it too. I'm sure you're not a fan of the US dollar. When you track your assets on a spreadsheet, do you still calculate the value for everything in USD or use a different currency? Very good question. So I do everything. My brain is wired for USD because I've been an American for half a century. So even in Dubai, another part of my brain is in AED, which is dirhams. So everything in Dubai is AED. So I have a pretty good basis for that. But often I still need to convert in my head or with my phone what the USD equivalent of something is, because that's just so wired into my head. So USD, unfortunately, will probably always be the standard for the rest of my life. Even when the USD goes away, we do something else. So yes, I do. The baseline for all my finances is in US dollars. And USD is still the most important currency in the world, and it will be for a while. It will collapse in our lifetimes, but it will not collapse anytime soon. Matter of fact, I'm in the middle of writing a book where I talk about that exact topic, the collapse of the dollar. And I give all the statistics as to why it's going to happen in our lifetimes. But I'm also not these guys like, oh my God, the dollar's going to collapse in a year. No, it's not going to collapse anytime soon. It's going to be a long time. US dollar is very entrenched in the world. I converted to USD from GBP since starting remote work and business. Yeah, it just makes more sense, even though I don't like it. And we could kind of like go, dollar, ooh, ick. But that's how the world thinks. So that's just kind of how it works. Hang on one moment here as I continue to multitask, which you should not do. Do not do what I'm doing right now, and do not multitask. That is very poor time management. I have to launch a piece of an app here called Handbrake and drop the video into it. This is a first. This is welcome to the wonderful world of live streams. You have to do shit like this. Where did I download that video? Great. Okay, hang on. God damn it. Hang on one moment. One of you was or two or three of you actually were asking about multitasking is really hard. Download for desktop. Asking about the lesser of two evils things. that Americans do, where Americans vote for the lesser of two evils. And I was talking to a private group of people last week, and we were discussing this. No valid source. Hang on. Shit. Hang on a second. Sorry. Hang on a moment. I was discussing this exact topic with a group of people last week, private group. And what I told them was, I said, do you remember the TV show Dinosaurs? You're like, what the fuck, Caleb? What are you talking about? About 20 years ago, there was a show on normal TV, ABC, called Dinosaurs. It was a Jim Henson puppet show. It was all animatronics and stuff like that. And there were these dinosaurs. It was basically like the Flintstones, but it was with dinosaurs. People in these dinosaur outfits. The puppetry was really good. And so it was like a mom dinosaur and a daddy dinosaur. And they had like a teenage son dinosaur. And they had a teenage daughter dinosaur. Remember that show? Okay. It was okay show. It was fine. Well, in that show, there was a baby dinosaur. And he was really cute and kind of stupid. And he was like all pink, if you remember. And the baby would call his mom, mama, say, mama. And he would call his dad, not the mama. So he'd say, mama, or he'd say, not the mama. And it would piss off his dad. He's like, will you just call me dad or daddy or, come on. And hang on one second. I'm almost done multitasking, I promise. Hang on. Start encode. Go. I'm really pushing the processor on my laptop. I'm encoding a video while doing a goddamn live stream. Yeah, that's fun. Anyway, I'm not multitasking. I'm just paying attention to another screen. The dad would get really mad about the baby not saying, call me daddy. Call me dad. Don't call me not the mama. And the baby would say, not the mama. So one episode, the dad would go right in front of the baby, his little, high chair. And he'd go, okay, baby. Not the mama. He goes, yes, now listen. Say, da. And the baby would say, da. He'd say, dee. And the baby would say, dee. And he'd say, daddy. And the baby said, not the mama. Very cute. That is what you run into when you explain to Americans about the lesser of two evils and how you shouldn't do it. So you will say, yeah, and the baby would hit the dad in the head with a spoon. Correct. You know the show. Great. You will say to an American, and I've been dealing with this for 20 years, 25 years, until I stopped doing it several years ago, so now I don't care. You would say, and I'll use Kamala Harris and Trump, but you could say Hillary Clinton and Trump. You could say Barack Obama and Mitt Romney. It doesn't matter. They're all lesser of two evils. Barack Obama or John McCain, George W. Bush or Al Gore, whatever, okay? So you can look at the American who has theoretically a functioning brain, and you say, voting for Kamala Harris, electing Kamala Harris will destroy your country. And they'll say, yes. And then you'll say, and electing Donald Trump will also destroy your country. And if they're not partisans, if they're extreme partisans, say, but if they're not partisans, they'll say, yeah. And then you say, therefore, voting for either one of these people is bad. You shouldn't vote for either one. And they go, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. Or, yeah, I'm voting for Kamala because Trump is Hitler. It's literally the same thing as the baby thing. Americans have a mental block about this that is very real, that they just can't get past it because it's like being addicted to heroin for these people. Americans have been voting for lesser of two evils since 1988. Those are long habits, longer than many of you have been alive. And if you say you shouldn't vote for either one, their brains just go, but I have to. I only have two choices, and I got to vote for one. And one of them is less bad than the other one, and Trump will collapse slower. It's a uniquely American problem. And by the way, this is exactly the way the elites in the United States have designed it. The elites love that you people vote for only the Democrat or Republican and no one else. They love that shit. They are so happy that you're addicted to this two-party, lesser of two evils political system. The elites love it. All right. Okay, hang on. I'm going to see if I can upload this video, and then I'll be done multitasking, and we will get to our topic. Okay, videos, present video file. I use, if you guys are curious, I use StreamYard. That's the system I use to do these live streams and podcasts. Video, okay, date. It better be there. Okay, it's there. Cool. Okay, let's see if it uploads. Okay, come on. Let's go. Cool.
So I am
awesome. All right, there it is. All right, great. All right, so now we have two case studies to talk about today on guys who started from zero, location independent business. They went through the business builder program. They got their first client or two, and they talk about exactly how they did it. We will do that in a few minutes. I'll do that when Billy comes on. Let's see. Multitasking is impossible. It's not impossible. It's just not a good idea. Should I get LASIK surgery? Ask me that question on my other channel. It's more of a lifestyle question. Notice LATAM America elections is usually like a normal corporate-friendly candidate versus a complete wildcard candidate. That's accurate. Yeah, even here in Paraguay, that's accurate. You're exactly right. Never thought of it that way. You're correct. That is the case here. Right. It's really interesting. Do you have any opinions on protest voting? Voting in the collapsing USA or cuckoo Canada or anywhere in suicidal Europe is useless. So at this point, it's useless. It's all useless. It's become an emotional exercise. So it doesn't matter why you're voting. What about protest voting, Caleb? It's all, voting has become an emotional exercise. I did an entire podcast just a few weeks ago on this very channel why elections don't matter in the modern era. They used to, but in the modern era, they don't matter. The elites are going to keep doing whatever the hell they want. It doesn't matter if you vote for Trump or Kamala. Okay, nothing's going to be averted. Nothing's going to change radically. Little bits and pieces will change, but that's it. So in the big picture, so it's the same thing as any other kind of voting. Now, if you live in a functional democracy, good luck. There's none of those in the Western world. And it's a growing economy, and then maybe, sure. I mean, you could argue that maybe voting in El Salvador worked, but is El Salvador part of the Western world? No, it's not. So, and again, I will repeat, as I've been saying for 15 years on my blogs, the least bad countries in the world over the past 20, 30 years have been countries that were not democracies, or at least not democracies the way most Westerners understand. So on the index of economic freedom, the top one or two least unfree countries of the world, the freest countries of the world, not lately, but in the last 25 years, has been Hong Kong and Singapore. These are not democracies as Westerners understand them. They're not. They're not. Most people, a vast majority of people who live in Singapore cannot vote. Is that a democracy? The way an American understands? No, it's not. Hong Kong, even prior to 2019, when China stepped on its neck, which is what it's doing now, and I'll be back in Hong Kong in February, very excited. Hong Kong, even prior to 2019, half their legislature was appointed. So you'd vote for half your Congress, the other half was appointed by the elites. Is that a democracy? No. And that worked the best. Dubai is one of the greatest cities in the world, if not the greatest city in the world. Not a democracy at all. No one votes. Yeah, it's kind of what you want. So the least bad scenario is a benevolent monarchy or a benevolent oligarchy with the objective of growing the economy of the country and becoming an international player, like the UAE, like Qatar, like Bahrain, like Saudi Arabia is trying to be now, like Singapore's been forever, like Hong Kong's been prior to 2019. That's the least bad scenario. Democracy is not the way it works. Sorry, democracy just becomes a clusterfuck, exactly as Ben Franklin said. What did Ben Franklin say about democracy? Benjamin Franklin, what did he say? Democracy is two wolves and a sheep voting on what to eat for dinner. Doesn't work. Sorry, doesn't. Okay, a few more questions. We'll get to our topic. I agree with the president, but local voting and specific measures can make a difference in some states. Local voting can make a difference. That is correct. When I talk about voting, I mean anything beyond the municipal level. Anything beyond your city is useless. If you vote in state elections, useless. Or provincial elections, you're wasting your time. Certainly for president, waste your time. Just emotions. Canadian here, Canada is going to be finished off by 2030. No, but close. It's worse. It's really bad. Yeah. Very high cost of living, way too many immigrants and asylum seekers, and hardly any development and investment in the private industries. But you're correct. Canada is completely fucked. Cuckoo Canada. You are right. Is project management a great skill to learn for your location-dependent business? And how would someone go about doing that? No, I would not recommend that. You should ask Billy that question when she comes on. She might give you a different answer than me. No. You're not going to learn that for your location of business. You need to learn marketing and implementation for your location of business. And then later, if you want, you can do a project management. Would you suggest a short course? Ask Billy that question. What's the issue with cedulas? Apparently no cedula issue for 9 days due to corruption. Yes, it's a problem. And I've had a few people in our cedula service complain about this, and it's the government in Paraguay right now. So what's happening, if you're curious, this only applies to a small percentage of you, so I'll run for this really quickly. You get residency in Paraguay, you get your residency, then you get this other process that's optional but recommended called called a cedula, which is your national ID card. That allows you to do things like rent an apartment, open bank accounts, crap like that. Okay? You can do these things with that cedula, but they're very complicated. Not recommended. Two things are occurring right now in Paraguay. Number one is Paraguay, because they get better every year, are converting to a chip-based cedula like Dubai has instead of a normal cedula that's just a piece of plastic. So you can like insert the chip and it'll just sign you up on a phone account and sign you up on a, it's awesome. It's what Dubai has. You just run your card and it just sets up your lease and sets up your internet, and it's really cool. So they're converting to that, but it's South America, so they don't want to issue any cedulas that don't have chips, but they don't have the new system for the chips yet, so they're just delaying it by several months. Number one. Number two, what you're referring to on corruption is that there were some Taiwanese and Pakistani people who applied for residency, and they lied on their applications, and they got caught lying. So the government here freaked out. Governments, what do governments do? They overreact. The pandemic. Governments like to overreact. So they overreacted, and they said, oh my God, we're going to pause everything and double check everything. So it's causing a delay in cedulas. If you're currently going through the cedula process, you're going to get you cedula. It's okay. It's just going to be a delay. And it sucks. And here, I waited an extra year for my cedula because of the fucking pandemic. So this happened to me too. Welcome to South America. Nothing happens quickly. Although, I'll tell you a quick story. This is awesome. You want to hear something awesome about not living in the United States? This is yet another benefit, you Americans, and also you people in the UK, Germany, France. This applies to you too. When you go renew your passport, so here's the thing about your passport. Your passport cannot be 6 months to expiration. So if you open your passport and the expiration date is in 2 months, it's almost invalid. A lot of countries won't accept it. You've got to renew it well before it becomes 6 months to expiration. So your deadline to renew your passport is when it's 6 months to expiration, not when it's the day before expiration. Make sense? So my passport, American passport, is renewing or expires summer of next year. Okay. So I went, okay, I'll just wait when I get back to Dubai in October and I'll renew it at the embassy there. Little secret, the embassy, the American embassy in Dubai is not that great. I've heard a lot of negative things about it, including from wealthy expats, those who watch these videos. Not that great. So I'm like, well, you know what? I'm here in Paraguay. Hey, there's an embassy right down the street from where I live. I live here in Villa Mora, one of the nicest neighborhoods in the entire country. So the embassy is literally like 5 minutes from my apartment. I said, let me go check it out. Maybe they can redo it. So I said, hey, U.S. Embassy in Paraguay, I leave on October 5th, which is in like 4 weeks from when the date I talked to them. Is this going to take like 6 weeks for me to renew my passport? Because that's usually how long it takes. It's like 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Because if I go through the renewal process and I don't get my passport by October 5th, I'll be stuck in Paraguay, and it's to stay in Paraguay for X number of weeks. And I got to be in Dubai in October for a number of reasons. I said, so will I get my passport like before? Will it take 4 weeks? And can you like guarantee it? So the guy's like, look, we don't like to say this, but if you renew your passport through us, you'll get it faster than if you renewed it in the United States. Yes, so if you're an American in Paraguay doing American services at the American Embassy, they will get done faster than if you do them in the United States. This also has to do with renunciation. If you renounce, you can't do it in the United States. You got to fly to some other country and do it because the United States government fucks you. So they said, you'll have your passport in your hand in 2 weeks. He goes, now, we're not allowed to say that. We have to say approximately 3 to 4 weeks. He goes, but I'm just telling you, every time I do it, it's 2 weeks. So you'll have it you'll have it in September. I said, what? He said, yeah. I said, okay, I'll give this a shot. So 2 weeks is 14 days. 9 days, my new passport arrived. It's there right now. I'm picking it up tomorrow. 9 days. In the United States, go try to renew your passport in the United States or UK or Germany or France in your country and see how long it takes. It's going to take 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks. You do it in an embassy in some foreign country, some quote shithole country like Paraguay, 9 days. I was shocked. It's there right now. Now, it's government, so I couldn't just go pick it up. They say you're only allowed to pick up your passport at 3 p.m. on Tuesdays or Thursdays. So tomorrow at 3 p.m. EST, tomorrow being Tuesday, I'm going to go pick up my passport. And I'm done. I don't have to worry about this. And now the passport's set for the next 10 years. Awesome. This is awesome, man. Love it. I'm like, you guys are fucking awesome. I love you guys. It's still a bunch of bullshit. You have to go into a thing and you give them your phone. And, it's an American office. So it's like Nazi Germany because you people have been voting for lesser two evils for 35 years. So you've made your country Nazi Germany. But hey, it worked. So there you go. It worked. You're not there. So, right. All right. Let's get to our topic. Hang on. I'm going to double check my WhatsApp and my Basecamp to make sure Billy is not having any troubles. Okay. Hang on. All right, click away. Where the hell's my screen? Here we go. Logistics. Billy's going to come on in about 10 minutes, and we'll cover business logistics, and then we'll do 2 case studies on how to start your own location-dependent business. One guy is 29 years old and works at a grocery store. You'll see him in a minute. Logistics is setting up the logistics of your business so that you can run your business. So it falls into several components. One is your website. You probably need a website. Now, you don't need a website. We don't teach this as a business builder. I don't teach this publicly, but one of my location-dependent businesses for many years, I had to close it because of the fucking pandemic, but for many years, I made a lot of money on it, was a offline business. There was no website for it. There was no social media. It was all done over telemarketing and direct mail, snail mail. Worked great. Still works. But in normal conditions, you need a website. You might need a squeeze page, a sales page. You have to set up a way to collect money. How do they pay you? How does the money get into your checking account? You need to set up a business checking account, which we'll talk about in a minute. You need to set up things like perhaps a bookkeeping system like QuickBooks. You're going to have to set up, and I'll Billy talk about this, and not have to, but Billy will say you have to. I say you don't. Set up an LLC or some kind of corporate structure for your business. You'll have to set up an email system to manage your mailing list, your autoresponders, things like that. You have to set that up. What else do you need to set up? That's really about it. You don't need to set up very much. Oh, you need to set up your social media. So let me talk about that really quick. When you set up your social media on your own location-dependent business, what we teach is you pick the top 2 social media platforms, 1 or 2, where your niche is. Now, this all pre-assumes you're doing what I've been talking about for years and years and years. You are operating and servicing only a narrow niche. A narrow niche and nothing else. So you ask yourself, where is this niche? Where do they spend their time? If your niche is women, you should be on Pinterest. If your niche is young American girls, you need to be on Snapchat. If your niche is business owners, you need to be on LinkedIn. And there are some places that are, quote, for everybody. YouTube, Facebook, kind of. So if your niche is younger people under 35, should you spend a lot of time on Facebook? Probably not. If your niche is people in their 40s or 50s, Facebook is better. You see how this works? And this is not the social media platform that you like the best. I've said this many times. I'm happy to say this again. The modern day version of YouTube is literally the worst internet platform I have ever used in my entire life. And I've been using the internet since 1995. Modern day YouTube is awful. It's the worst I've ever seen. I can't believe it. It's unfortunate it's become a monopoly. And I'm a libertarian, but I'm a minarchist libertarian. It should be broken up. Topic for another time. But my point is, why am I on YouTube then? Because that's where my niche is. You guys like it. You guys are here. Caleb, go to Rumble. Rumble has what, 1,000th the market base that YouTube has? It's not worth it. For me. So you pick your social media platforms based on where your niche is, not the ones you like. Unfortunately, I have a lot of people in my niche on Twitter. So, and I hate Twitter. Twitter's a cesspool. Even after, but Elon Musk took it over, it's still a cesspool. It's for angry people yelling at other angry, irrational people. However, my niche is there. So in October, This is literally the plan for October. I'm going to be on LinkedIn a lot more than I am now. I'm on LinkedIn now, but I'm going to be on LinkedIn a lot more than I am now. We're going to have articles there and videos and stuff on LinkedIn, and I'm going to clone those out to Twitter X because that's where my niche is. Now, I'm operating a mature online business. You would not be on 6 different platforms like me. You'd be on 1 or 2. So these are the type of decisions that you make. Does that make sense? So you don't want to go crazy when you start your own business. You want to have the minimum amount of infrastructure necessary for you to get your first 1 to 5 clients. So that's the rule here. Because some guys say, oh, I need to set up, this and that and this. I need to set up a Kartra and Basecamp, and I need to hire this person and hire an attorney. I got Caleb, should I hire a business attorney? And then, no. Do you need a business attorney to get 1, 2, 3, 4 clients? No, you don't. You don't. So my rule of thumb for setting up your infrastructure for your business is, what is the minimum amount you need to get your first several clients? Once you start making some money, and if you're in our business builder program, you'll make a lot of money with 1 or 2 money. You don't need a lot of clients to make a lot of money. That's what we teach. But once you start making some decent money, oh shit, then you can start getting fancy schmancy. When I started my business, this business, Unchained CEO, which used to be Sovereign CEO, which was an outgrowth of Alpha Male 2.0, which itself was an outgrowth of something called Black Dragon. Way back in 2009, you evolve your business over time. You don't sell the same thing forever. That doesn't work in the modern era. So I would evolve my business at least 4 times. And I'm sure I will do it again in the next 2 or 3 years. Okay, not yet, not now. But when I first started this business, which is a 7-figure company today, in 2009, I started blogging. So all I did was go to WordPress.com and just set up a free account, and I spent an hour and I set up a blog, hosted on WordPress.com. I would never do that today. I'd be banned. But that's what I did. This is before the left completely took over the whole world. So, and before the internet got authoritarian things. But my point is, I didn't set up my own virtual server on the internet and go to Bluehost and set up my own virtual server and then hire a guy to install the WordPress software and install this antivirus stuff on my own server and then set up my blog. I didn't do that shit. I was making, I believe this is true, I crossed 100,000 in income from that business before I converted to my own WordPress installation. So if you didn't know, for blogs, you can set up WordPress.com and just host your blog at WordPress.com. It's hosted there, and you can do it in half an hour. You're completely up and running blog in half an hour. Or you could get your own hosting through a company like Bluehost or GoDaddy or whatever, and then you install the WordPress software into your own server, and then you run it yourself. A little more technical. So what was my point? My point is I didn't do that until I was already making 100,000 a year from that business. So I kept it simple. Keep this shit simple. Hang on one moment. Make sure that Billy's not having trouble getting in. Okay, cool. One of you, you're asking a relevant question. If you're starting an Alpha 2.0 business on the side, what do you put on your LinkedIn? Your day job and or your current gig, or your new Alpha 2.0 business, or both? Great question. If you're not going to get in trouble for your day job, you put your business on your LinkedIn. You put your business on there. Hang on a second. The only time you would not put your business on LinkedIn is if you know you're going to get in trouble for your boss. You'll say, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Most of you, it doesn't matter. Most of you, doesn't care. And if you think it matters, then make a judgment. Don't put both. You can list both, but you have to focus on one. So right now, my LinkedIn page, I've got thousands of people on my LinkedIn, is really just a glorified resume for me, which is not useful. It really isn't. So in October, we're going to totally revamp my LinkedIn page to make it all about 90-Day Business Builder and Unchained CEO. Building your own location independent business so you can chuck your 9-to-5 job and your stupid gigs, and you can be internationally mobile if you want. And it's going to be all 100% that. It'll still list my other past accomplishments, but that'll be down on the bottom of the page. It's going to be all about Unchained CEO, starting your location independent business. It will not be about Alpha Male 2.0. I'm going to talk about that somewhere else, because Alpha Male 2.0 is not super appropriate for LinkedIn. You see my point? Talking about dating multiple women is probably not going to fly very well on LinkedIn. You could do it, but that's not ideal. My Unchained CEO business is much more compatible with LinkedIn. Alpha Male 2.0, I have a whole different plan for that. Talk about that later. So I'm going to have that focus on my LinkedIn page as a singular focus. You want your LinkedIn page and all your social media pages to have a singular focus. Why do I have 2 YouTube channels? I have Unchained CEO and I have Alpha Male 2.0. There's a lot of crossover in the audience, but there's a lot of people in my audience who don't want to hear about dating girls or anti-aging or testosterone. They don't want to hear about that stuff. There are a lot of women in my audience who don't want to hear about that stuff. And there are some women who do want to hear about that stuff. Okay. And then conversely, there are a lot of guys in my audience who don't want to hear about, moving to Paraguay. They don't care about that. They want to hear about, how do you date 4 girls all at the same time without drama? Okay. So they're segmented because that's the way each channel is 100% focused. So that's what you want to do with your social media. Good question. Billy is either having trouble or she's late. So let me send her a quick text. And if she doesn't show up today, then I will just take over. Hang on a second. I'm going to send her a quick WhatsApp. I love the WhatsApp desktop app. I love it. It's so awesome. I like WhatsApp. It's not perfect, but I like it. And okay. Let me drag this over to their screen. Am I multitasking again? Am I violating my own rule again? Sorry about that. Yeah, if you go to web.whatsapp.com, you can do it on your laptop. So my phone is my camera, as always. Is why I bought this stupid iPhone. So I can't use WhatsApp on my phone, so I just pull it on my desktop and I'm good to go. Need to join 90 Day Biz Builder. I'm fucking tired of working this job. I just talked to someone. Actually, I'll play the video in a minute. And at the end of when I interviewed him on his success in Business Builder, he made a really good point. He said, if you're not going to do this, what are you going to do? What are your alternatives? And I just sat there and went, shit, you're right. What a good point. I never think of that. He was very smart about this. So yeah, if you're not going to start your own location-dependent business, what's your plan? Now, I know your plan, some of you, is Trump's going to fix everything. I understand you guys are psycho and insane. There's no helping you guys. But for the other 70% of you in my audience, what's your plan? Do you have a plan? I plan out every quarter. I'm about to do it on the plane when I go back to Dubai on October 5th. I'm going to plan out the entire, because we're coming to the end of the quarter, aren't we? I've talked about this in prior podcasts, how I'm trying to make this year the best year of my entire life. And I visualize a year as 3 months instead of as 12 months. Okay. So same deal. All right. Few more things in logistics. I guess Billy's probably not joining us, which is fine. We'd rather use Signal. My understanding is Signal is just as hackable as WhatsApp. Go look at what happened to Tucker Carlson. All right. Logistics. So let me go through the items really quick, and then I'm going to do some case studies with you guys. I'll play some videos. Social media, your website. There are numerous websites where you can set up a website in about 1 hour. Wix, Squarespace, there's any one of those. If you want to spend more money, you can use a system like Billy's M Suite or Kartra or Kajabi or any one of those. Those cost more, but things like Squarespace is like either free or like $20 a month. It's ridiculous. Then you can buy a, excuse me, you can buy a domain name at some place like GoDaddy for like $9, $12, something like that. You only need one domain name. You get that. Then you need to figure out your payment system. Easiest way to do this, and it's not my favorite, but I have a mature business, so I'm in a different place than most of you, is PayPal. You can set up a PayPal link really quick. You can set up a PayPal button. You set up a PayPal account. But Caleb, I'm foreign and I can't use PayPal because I'm outside the West. Then you set up something like Revolut, or what's another good one? You guys have good ideas in the chat. What are some good international services, payment services? Stripe is awesome. I like it a lot better than PayPal, but I use both. So Stripe is an option. If Stripe and PayPal is an option because you're outside the Western world, we once had a guy in Business Builder from Mongolia, and we set him up with not Wise. Wise won't get you payments. Revolut, and there's another one. There's a few of them. But anyway, you set up a payment system where you can link the button on your page for them to buy your thing. You need to have that set up. Then you need to set up your own checking account at your current bank that is separate from your current checking account. You don't need to set up a business checking account. You can just set up another personal account that is completely legal and run your business through that extra personal account. You do that because you want separation of finances, because the income that comes into that second account for your business is tax-free. You don't pay money on gross revenue. You pay money on profit. Now, this is not a live stream on how to manage your taxes, but you have a separate account to run your business income through and your business expenses out of. And that can, you just go to your bank and say, hey, bank, can I set up another personal account under Caleb Jones? Sure, they'll do it. If it's in America, they'll do it really quick. If it's in Paraguay, it'll take you fucking forever. That's not true. If it's through your existing bank, it'll be really quick and easy. You can do it in one bank visit. Sometimes you do it online. Sometimes you do it on your phone. Payoneer. Okay, that's cool. That's right. Payoneer, that's a good one. So that you just set up your bank account. Again, people think you just set up a business bank account. No, you don't. Later you will as you scale, but right now your goal is to get your first 1 to 3 clients. That's your objective. Everything else is bullshit at this point. So the only things you need to do are things to get to that 1 to 3 clients in your narrow niche. You determine your narrow niche. You determine what to sell them that solves the problem of the niche. You attach a price to that that's valid, where you can make money, but actually is good for them to solve their problem. Then you set up your logistics, your payment buttons, all that stuff. And then you get your first 1 to 3 clients. We have had people in Business Builder get clients before they ever set up a website. We've had numerous people do this. The first time this happened, the guy got a $5,000 consulting client, didn't have a website, didn't have anything. He did it through his niche research. Happens. You still need to do it. I didn't say a first client, I said 1 to 3. Okay. Next, you need to set up a bookkeeping system. The system I recommend for most of you is QuickBooks Online. Very cheap, very simple. If you have a little more money, you can hire someone to do your books for you. That's fine. Or you can do it yourself. That's basically a checkbook for your checks. And then it also runs reports of your profit and loss and things like that. When you have a small business, this is very simple. My books are kind of complicated because I have several companies and I'm doing all kinds of crazy shit. Okay. That, and then what else do you need? LLC. I'm not going to address LLCs in this live stream unless Billy comes on, because she's better at explaining it than I am. That's a kind of a separate topic. And we just had Vincenzo last week discuss LLCs if you're non-American. Okay, cool. But that's a separate topic. So I'll leave that for another time. What other logistics do you need to set up? Your email list. You can use MailChimp. You can use ConvertKit. There's a number of them. Again, if you use now here's a decision you have to make. I'll talk about it in a second. Let me go back. Your mailing list system, you need a system to manage your mailing list and send out bulk emails and do autoresponders. You need a system for this. I used to use Aweber. Fine. There's like 10 of them. They're all good. When you set up things like websites, your mailing list software, things like this, you have a decision to make. You can set up a service for each one of these functions, or you can spend a little more money and get something like Billy's M Suite or Kartra or Kajabi or Entreport or Infusionsoft. Again, there's a million of them, and it does everything. So I use Kartra. If you ever purchased a product from me, you've seen in my Kartra page, right? So I use Kartra. Kartra is like Kajabi. It does everything. It does your mailing list. It does all your websites. It does all your payment processing. It does all of it in one platform, but it's more expensive. And you will spend more money upfront if you do this. So there's the downside. If you do this in a new business, and you haven't got any clients yet, you will spend more money upfront, but it'll create much less work when you scale. When you get a bunch of clients, it'll be a lot less work for you. Or you can do what I did. You have this company for your software. You have this company for your website, this company for your payment processing, this company for your email, and they're all really cheap, and you'll spend very little money, which is good. But then when you grow, once you got a bunch of customers, you'll have to convert over to a more all-in-one platform. So eventually, I remember those days. I had Aweber for my email. I had eJunkie for my payment processing for my ebooks. I used PayPal. I didn't use Stripe for my payment, for my banking. I used WordPress for my blogs. I used ClickFunnels for my sales pages. So I had all these 5 different platforms. And later I converted them all into Kartra, which was a fucking nightmare, but it was well worth it. So now Kartra does all that stuff for me. So that's a decision you make. And there's no right or wrong answer. You guys are asking some really good questions. I'll get to those in a few minutes. What else on logistics? QuickBooks, website, payment, LLC, your own checking account. That's it. That's all you need at this point. The only other thing you might need is if you want to sign up for an Upwork account to hire vendors. Some people hire vendors to help them implement the work right off the bat. Some people hire vendors on Upwork to do their YouTube ads and things like that. Fine. That's an optional. It's optional depending on what you're doing. If you're going to run cold ads, obviously just set that up. And we recommend Facebook ads or YouTube ads to start. You can do other ads. Yes, you can do LinkedIn and you can do TikTok ads and you can do Instagram. I've done all those things. But for the beginner, Facebook ads or YouTube ads. Pick one. There are pros and cons of both. I just did a 90-day business presentation an hour ago where I talked about the pros and cons of both outside the scope of this podcast. But you pick those and that's it. You're done. You're done. And then you're done. So here's the thing about logistics. The goal of business logistics is to get it over with as quickly as possible so you can get to marketing and get paid. Too many of you Lissigs, too many of you INTJs, too many of you engineering types, too many of you accounting types, too many of you spreadsheet nerds spend all this fucking time on logistics. You spend 6 months a year on your website and your blog and your banking and your legal and your da-da-da and your da-da-da and you're jerking off into the wind. No. What is the goal here? The only goal is to get those first 1 to 5 clients. That's it. Tweaking your goddamn website is not going to get you faster clients. It's not. Unless you're a mature business. I'm not talking about me. I can make some tweaks on my websites and it will increase my income. I have a mature business. You don't. This is for those of you who are building a new business from scratch. No. So I want to repeat this to you fucking Lissigs out there, because there's a lot of you in my audience. I love you guys, but goddamn, all these logistical things are things you need to get through, get them done, and get to your clients, get to your customers. That's it. These do not make money. Marketing makes money. Implementation makes money. Improving your offer makes money. Fucking with your website, fucking with your QuickBooks, fucking with your attorneys, meetings with your bookkeeper. Some of these things need to be done, but they don't make any money. When I plan out my day, side little topic on this. And those of you who sign up for my immersion service, my immersion event I'm doing, you're going to see me do this. A bunch of you have already signed up. You're going to see me do this. Every morning, the first thing I do in the morning is I get all my bullshit SW work, I call it buffer work, out of my way. Okay? I know that was personal INTJ because I'm an INTJ, so I'm making fun of myself. The first half hour of work I do every day, including this morning, I get rid of all my stupid work. My email, the messages in my base camp from my team, shit like that. I get it out of the way as fast as I can. I go through as fast as I can, checking my cash, checking all my bank account statements and shit like that, okay? I get that all out of the way so I can get to money-making work for the rest of the day. Okay? So the same thing when you're setting up your business. You don't spend a lot of fucking time on logistical crap. This is really important, guys. Get it done as fast as you, and remember the rule, 80% equals done. I've been saying this for 20 years. We say this in Business Builder all the time. 80% equals done. Well, it's not exactly the way. I don't care. I don't care, Mr. Perfectionist with no money. I don't care. As I've said many times, I make goddamn mistakes all the fucking time, and I make 7 figures. A lot of you guys do everything perfectly, and you make $30,000 a year, $50,000 a year at a job. You're fucked when America collapses, when AI takes over, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So 80% is done. Just get it done. Get it barely working. Good. Get your clients. You can always tweak later once you're making money. I was going to say 20,000 a month. Let's not say 20,000. Let's say 7,000 a month, which is what? The 85,000 minimum income we recommend here. Okay. When you're making 7,000 a month, then you can tweak all you want. Tweak all you want, man. Be a fucking nerd and tweak all your shit. Once you're making at least 85,000 a year from your clients and your location dependent, you can quit your fucking job. Great. Then tweak. I can afford to tweak. And even I don't. My team does. I tweak a little. I should probably tweak more, but I'm too busy working. So make money and then tweak later. All right? Fucking hell. All right. Now, I'm going to show you some videos here of 2 guys who started from zero, made money, and exactly what they did, how they got their first few clients, exactly what happened. Cool? Cool? All right. Hang on. We'll do Andrew first. and then we'll do bid. So hang on a moment.
With Andrew.
So you're going to see me in two places like last time. I know it's weird. I'm going to comment on these videos as we go along. If you have trouble hearing this, let me know in the chat. I think you should be able to hear this okay.
Who went through the 90-day business builder program. And what's really interesting about Andrew is that the time frame of his results, but I'll let him talk about that.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Hi, Andrew. How are you?
I'm doing great, Caleb. Good to chat to you.
Where do you live?
So I'm currently in the UK. Was it meant to be collapsing UK, but it's close enough.
Close enough, right? Yeah, no kidding. And let's see. You were, before joining Business Builder, you were, and partially still are, well, I'll let you describe what you did primarily for your income before you joined Business Builder.
Sure. So I've been doing independent consulting for a good number of years now, but that's been built up out of word of mouth, and it's not been particularly specific into one particular niche. It's been generally, people know me, they know I can do various things in technology and project delivery. Andrew will fix it. I know a guy. So it's quite intimate, social, fella down the road. Exactly. But
so sometimes Business Builder is meant for people who've never started a business before, but sometimes we have people like Andrew who have like gig-based businesses, like location dependent, like he said, very casual referral type business. We have a few people who join in that category because you're not free when you have a business like that. You have kind of a business. It's a little less bad than having a 9-to-5 job. We'll talk, then the next person has a 9-to-5 job. But anyway, so sometimes that happens.
People have been working with me for years and it's basically just grown organically like that. Yeah. Obviously being a consultancy where it's me doing the work directly, it's quite constrained in the amount of work I could take on. And there's also a location aspect to it where if I suddenly upped and went anywhere else in the world, that direct network of people who have built up my business and clients over the past number of years, they're going to be quite distant. Probably get some work still, but it's going to be a very different environment. So a location dependent consultancy for a number of years.
And are you in the London area in the UK?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. So is that primarily just people around London you've been servicing? Is that correct?
Yes, there's been
the
international kind of end clients, but ultimately things are mostly run out of London. So I've worked with, say, a few Australian banks, but it's been outside of London. You know, it's all been run out of London. So it's not been truly international.
Got it. And then you joined Business Builder March of this year, right?
That's correct. March 9th, 2023.
March 9th. And that date will become relevant in a minute. This is the cool part. And why did you join? What were the primary reasons you joined? What did you want out of the program when you joined it?
So what I really wanted was things have not been healthy in the UK over the past few years. The government has really,
to say the least,
wanted to put a stop to small business, and they've succeeded pretty heavily on that. And just generally things are not great. So I wanted to detach away from the location a bit more, but I also wanted to make what I do a bit more saleable, have a bit more of exit potential. Because when it's just me doing the work, it's just not going to be able to sell. So that needs standardization of your processes, being able to build a client base that's detached from you, and be able to have that full end-to-end process that isn't, you know, people that I personally work with for a number of years. I can't sell that. So I joined 90-Day Business Builder because the model that's in there, which is location independent, automatically solves one of the problems, which is location dependency. Get rid of it. You know, don't have to worry about that anymore. And then second,
let me repeat really quick. Those of you who have kind of a location dependent business or gig-based business, as I've been saying for 15 years, you are not free. You are one notch less worse off than the 9-to-5 corporate slave. That's kind of true. You are not free. And that was me in the 90s and a lot of the 2000s. I was just like Andrew. I was a location dependent consultant in Portland, Oregon, servicing clients in Portland, Oregon. I had to live in Portland, Oregon, or I couldn't pay my bills. You are not free. Sometimes business owners, and there's levels of business owner. I don't want to sound arrogant about this. I won't talk about that. But anyway, business owners kind of get this air, well, I have my own business. I'm a consultant. Yeah, Are you location dependent or location independent? Makes a big difference.
Certainly, because it's both services, goods, and a number of other things, there's a lot more process in that. You can build a proper business as an actual business that you can set up, run, and it can either be a constant source of revenue or you package it up and sell it on and you get that exit that you're after. So that's a much healthier business than what I'm currently running at the minute.
Agreed.
Got it. So to review, the two primary reasons were A, you wanted something location independent, and B, you wanted something that was more of an asset that you could sell someday, like a quote real, I call them model B business, but like a quote real business, instead of a guy just doing jobs, because that's how I got started too. I just did random jobs around for people in my town. And right, it wasn't really a business. It was more of just a way to make money to pay my bills. Right.
Exactly. And not only that, it's like getting to that point of where you have a business that's actually saleable as an asset. Getting to that point is when you've got there, because you can actually step away from the business. And if you're just doing that work over and over yourself directly, you'll never get to step away. And the business runs you. So being able to step away is very appealing after a number of years.
Yeah, we talk about that. Billy and I both talk about working when you work in your business versus working on your business.
It's 100% accurate.
Yes, because most people, if they start a business, if they're lucky enough to be successful, they spend the rest of their lives working in their business like an employee. And you might as well be an employee because you're just working longer hours than an employee. And
an example of that I've used in the past is like, these immigrants who come over and they start convenience stores. So like this little Vietnamese man will start a convenience store in the corner, and they have to man that store 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. You basically bought yourself a job. Technically, you have your own business. A lot of people who buy like Subway franchises too, and like these UPS stores, they buy them as a franchise, but they have to work in that business, standing behind the counter, helping clients and customers for 14 hours a day or 12 hours a day or 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. You basically bought yourself a job. It's not real business, in my view.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes. And
I don't recommend it to anyone listening. If you get the opportunity to build something that you can shift off at some point, it's far better than getting in the weeds continuously.
Correct. Agree 1,000,000%. And then, so you were in the program and you got your first client on a particular date.
Yes.
What date was that?
June 10th. So that is exactly 93 days after starting the program.
And
so I missed it by 3 days.
So 90-day business builder, he joined the program. In 93 days, he got his first client. Perfect.
You missed it by 3 days, but that's fine. 93 days is so perfect. When you told me that, I went, oh my God, because I didn't know that. I didn't know the timing. That's awesome. And with this first client, which is kind of unusual, you got 2 different jobs out of that first client. So one service and then a separate service, correct?
That is correct, yes. So the 93-day was the accepting of the estimate that I provided for the first service. Went ahead, delivered that. I didn't even deliver it fully. I delivered part of it. And they turned around and said, this is great. Let's get some more going on. I want this, this, and this. So send them another estimate for the same amount. And then they came back and they were like, yeah, wonderful, beautiful. And so I'm still engaged with that client, and there's probably going to be a longer term relationship there. Finishing off the work against that second piece of work. But ultimately, the first has been delivered, paid for, they're happy. The second's in motion at the minute. And there's more likely to be more work out of it because they need what I'm selling, essentially.
And so the total amount for both those services was how much?
So they were 3,000 British pounds each. So 6,000 British pounds total, which comes out to about $7,800 US.
So your first client, $7,800 US, 6,000 pounds within 93 days of you starting the program.
Just think about that for a minute. And we've done a lot of case studies like this. We're going to more coming. 93 days, $7,800 his first client. This happens all the time.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, and you're a good example of what I talk about, because our guarantee the program is $1,000, but no one just makes $1,000. And a lot of people are like you, their first client is way past 1,000. I mean, your client's almost 8x $1,000 with one client.
Yeah, I've mentioned this before. We've never had someone who just made $1,000 and never made any more money. If you made $1,000 with our systems, you're going to make way more than $1,000. I don't think we've ever had anyone in the entire program. We've run this program now for 2.5 years. Hundreds of people have gone through it. No one has made just 1,000, never made more than that. It's just how it works.
And you're right. You're going to get more money from this client. This is not, you're absolutely right based on what you talked. Oh, we didn't talk about your niche. So what was the niche that you chose?
So the niching is interesting because you kind of niche down and then you get to the point where you can kind of pivot ever so slightly. So I niched into, so there's two ones that I was chasing. I'm a little bit between them, but based on they're similar and the service is the exact same, but it's depending on how it wants to go, just based on some further market research. But one of them is financial technology firms that require immediate cybersecurity penetration testing. And then the other one is we call them digital agencies. They basically are your website development firms that churn out tons of these websites all the time, and they need that instant web cloud cybersecurity penetration testing service as well. And the key thing with both,
really quick, and you'll see this with Ben in the next one. You see how niched he's talking? He didn't just say cybersecurity. That's not a niche. It's an industry. You see how narrowly niched he is? That's why it worked. The more narrowly you niche, the more money you make and the faster you will make it. Period. End of story in all cases.
Those is that both of them, they need to make sure they deliver secure applications, and they usually have quite tight or frequent deadlines. So they're not just looking for penetration testing, they're looking for now. I need it done now. And we've got, from previous experience, the code to actually deliver that the same day. So done, dusted, or sorted. And that's where we have pushed to. This first client actually saw a lot of the marketing that I did out of the guidance from the 90-day business builder. And they approached me directly with a problem they had, which fit slightly to the side of the niche, which was actually some database management and migration work going into a new cloud environment. And they were worried about theirs, they were having problems with it. But because of the marketing that we've been putting out as part of the 90-day business builder, this client came in, started a casual conversation, went back to them, had that conversation with them a bit further to help give them some ideas and guide them through. One of the things that came out of the business builder was just how you go about dealing with clients, not just on a marketing piece. You give them value, you demonstrate the value. So once the value was demonstrated, they just turned around and said, brilliant, we're in the right place. It's not what they're advertising, but they know how to do it. Can we get an estimate? And it went from there.
And you said something very interesting. You said, correct me if I'm wrong, you never had to like cold call these people to get a client. You did marketing through Business Builder and they approached you.
Yes, that is correct. So
awesome.
The marketing is, because I'm still running my consultancies, because I've got a few things as well. I hadn't mentioned this to you, but there's been a few things going on over the past few months. Like I've had my second child and I've had to deal with again, a visa as well and a few other exotic things.
Wow. Okay.
Alongside all of that, running the business, a newborn and a visa.
If you guys remember 3-4 weeks ago, we profiled Grant and someone else too, where they said the same things. In the middle of trying to get these first clients, they went through all this life stuff. They had a kid and they had to move and they still were able to get these big clients, even with all these lifestyle problems in their lives. It's not a barrier.
Marketing is a lot easier to do at 2 a.m. in the morning. So you can do that. You can line up your posts. And the cold calling during the day, there's been a bit of it and some engagement, but it hasn't been as heavy going. But I do know that if I were to have that time freed up, if I was a young man again, I'd coming out of university, or I just had a single job, a single client, didn't have the family, freeing up an hour or even 2 hours during usual contact times would be really pushing this through, because the niching of it gives you that list and you can just go for it. So really, that's just a restriction personally with me. But the marketing still works anyway, even though I'm not able to get fully into all parts of the options in 90-day business builder. The marketing worked wonderfully.
Yeah, and so the way I look at that is, and other guys have talked about this when they were in business builder, is you had, and maybe are still having, all these life complications, the new baby and the visa stuff and everything else, and you still were able to get a really profitable client on top of that. And yes, oh, I could have gotten more clients, but you got that client within 93 days despite that.
Yeah.
Nice. What would you say to someone who was on the fence about joining Business Builder? Like,
so
the way I categorize, there's people who will definitely never do it. There's people who absolutely will do it as soon as they can afford it, or when the timing is right. Someone who's on the fence, what would you say to that person?
So prior to like becoming an old man and wanting to get away from the easy consulting side and just wanting to go, I've had enough of this. I want to go live somewhere else. I want to just have the easy life. When you're a young man, you kind of want that. When you're an old man like me, you feel like you need it, right? It's time to just do that because you're getting shoved into it. If I could go back to someone like me at that sort of age, and go, right, I've just got a job and there's this thing here that seems really good and it seems great, really. The bottom line I would say to you is like, look, if you stay in your job and you just stay on your career path, you are going to need to spend probably about 2K, 3K, 4K here or there just to keep up to date with your qualifications, which is what I had to do.
Right.
I'm a qualified project manager.
Yes.
I'm a qualified architect. All of those qualifications have added up to be more than business builder, and I've got less out of them. I don't even use the project management ones anymore. They're just, I have them and no one cares, and I don't use them.
Someone in the chat just asked me a little while ago, should I look at project management as a skill? What is Andrew saying? It's all useless.
And I actually think I'm better without them because they taught me a lot of stuff I now don't agree with.
So this is
So if we're
thousands
talking
of
about
pounds a year. This is thousands of pounds / dollars a year for these certifications, correct?
Yeah, they were. Really, to underline that, I've actually let them drop off. So it cost me about £100, $150 a year just to renew them, and I don't even bother with them anymore. But the sunk cost in them was more than Business Builder, and I've got less out of them.
Yeah.
Whereas, at least with Business Builder, that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life because it's not just this business.
Right.
It's all the other ones I want to do as well because the fundamentals are there. So I would say if you take that cost of business builder and you just look at how many years you've got left that you want to do stuff, and we're not even talking about necessarily, the ideal consulting business, which business builder is perfectly built for, but say other little businesses as well. Maybe you've got a real enjoyment of precious metals or stuff like that. This is one of the ones I'm interested in that didn't quite make it on the actual validation of which one's the best one, but precious metals I like to do. I've got a custom made business model there, which I've tried and tested. And when I get a bit older and I just want to play around with shiny objects, right, I can apply a small business there that is essentially like a hobby that isn't going to cost me the world. Because I think one of the things that really comes out with Business Builder is just how much power you've got with that business model you get. It's not like other business models where they will drag you down because you've got so many outgoings, you've got so many employees and things like that. You've got something that's almost hobbyist that you can utilize. So if you're on the fence and you're thinking about that, I would say, one, I paid a lot for my stuff. It wasn't worth it. Business Builder is the best one I've had, best return on investments I've ever had in a course ever. I'm really happy with this. Paid for itself already within 93 days. That's great. But also, this is such a good way to get some good solid experience of things that can actually contribute to you having healthy, rewarding hobbies and side businesses and other stuff in the future, because you can just reuse this over and over again for the rest of your life. So I would say, even if you can't afford it or anything like that, just put some money aside, work towards it, and it will pay itself back faster than most other things will pay you back. So go for it.
It's interesting. We just had a business builder meeting this morning and I was a part of it. And we were talking about exactly that, where you're not going to just have one business the rest of your life. You're going to do others.
No.
And all you have to do is learn this one skill one time and you get the ROI for the rest of your life. Most people are going to be living another 40, 50, 60 years. That's ROI
Yeah.
for the rest of your life. It's a one-time skill set, and then you're covered. Yes, it's really interesting you brought that up. We were talking about that just this morning. You're absolutely right. I always forget about that aspect of it.
I mean, like, to me, just to really underline the exact things, like it was the marketing training, the sales training, the niching training, and then the kind of business structure that you provide as well. All of those I didn't have that experience with. I just kind of naturally sort of muddled through a lot of business previously. But that stuff is universal, and that's the stuff I'm taking away, and I'm keeping. Sorry.
Yeah, it's yours forever. That's exactly how it works. Andrew, this is great. Fantastic. Love it. Thank you very much for this. This has been great.
There you go. 93 days, $8,000, in a USD equivalent. I'm going to show you Ben in a second. Billy, are you ready? Can you see me and hear me and everything? You good? I'm going to bring on Billy. Hang on a second. Hello.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Caleb.
Hey, so I just did, you just saw Andrew there. I'm going to now do Ben.
Cool.
And then we can answer some questions. Hang on a second. I'm going to rearrange my screen. Ben did not want to show his face, which is fine. So hang on a moment. So you guys. Okay, yeah. So you guys just saw Andrew. Andrew's a little older, a little more experienced. So I'm going to give you the opposite example. Ben is in his 20s, works at a grocery store. Okay. So hang on one second. This was awesome. This was actually this morning. So we're in the same outfit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's actually right before the live stream.
Oh, cool.
Second here. So I'm actually going to see if I can make our pictures bigger on the screen. No, then I lose you. Shit.
That's okay.
All right, fine. And Billy, if you want to pause for comments, let me know. This is going to be a little shorter because we had a little less time. But those of you guys who are young, and we get this all the time. I don't know anything. I'm dumb. I have no business. Why would someone ever pay me money? Watch this.
So I am here with Ben, and Ben is, I didn't realize how young you were. You're one of the younger people in business, although you're almost 30. You're 29, right?
Yes.
Cool. I like hearing from young guys because I relate to, I remember being young and relating to, getting those first clients when you're young. But anyway, what is your, before we talk about your success, let's talk about your background first in terms of your jobs and things like that you've had before joining. So you joined Business Builder this year, correct?
Yeah, back in February.
February, great. So prior to that, what is your work background?
Yeah, so currently I'm working as an assistant manager at a grocery store. And I've been in that position for almost 2 years. But before that, kind of a mix and match of things all across the retail spectrum, different positions, restaurant industry. I was a mail carrier for a little while, just kind of trying to see if there was any job that I could have that didn't suck as bad. But they all suck. So yeah, so mostly just retail.
I remember those days. One of my first jobs was sitting on a key punch machine, just turning papers like this all day long, like 8 hours a day. Yeah, that's fun. So I get it. I remember those days, yes. And then, so to be clear, you have no business experience in terms of having your own business, correct?
So I do have a web design business that I started this past November, so it's been almost a year.
Okay.
But that's something
before you
casual.
joined Business Builder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Did you get any clients from that or no?
Yes, I was part of a networking group, and the few clients that I had were from that networking group. People in the actual group.
Great.
So
Nice.
You started a web design business, you joined a networking group, you got a few clients from that group. That's cool. And that's like 3 months before you joined Business Builder.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the main thing was I wanted to, so with that business, I did the thing where I figure out what I want to do and then try to plug that into, that. And it's like fine, but I was started running into a wall of, trying to convince people why they need a website, which I didn't want to do. So that's why I was like, okay, I could,
Yeah, Billy and I are both like chomping at the bit. So really quick, we run into this problem constantly. I know, Bill, you can talk about this.
All the time.
Where you, and this is natural, this is the way your brain is wired. When you want to start a business, you look at yourself and go, I'm good at this, so I'm going to do this. What does the marketplace want? What does the niche want? Who gives a shit how good you are or what you like? So instead, what we teach is the opposite. We tell you to take yourself out of the equation and you look at niches. Niches, not you, niches. Then you look at their problems. And then you look at how you can solve the problem. Instead of coming and saying, I'm good at karate, so I'm going to do, or I'm good at accounting, so I'm going to do it. No. Bill, you want to say something about that? I saw you moving.
No, I'm the same as you, like rabid, like, oh, we all do
Drives
this.
us crazy.
How many times have we seen this?
Yes.
How many times have we done it ourselves? I'm guilty.
Right. Yeah, me too.
But it's so exciting. I mean, this is such a great illustration of the difference between using the business builder and the tools you learned there versus the advice that we hear so often. Do what you love.
Yeah.
Do what you know.
No. And
In
he
most
said
cases.
he said it perfectly. He said, I was trying to convince people that they need a website. If you have to try to tell the niche that they need to hire you for something they're not currently doing, you have the wrong business. Instead, you want to sell something to a narrow niche that solves or alleviates a problem they already have that's already driving them crazy. Then you barely need to sell. And that's one of the things, all of these case studies we've done, this is probably the fifth, sixth one we've done. I have more. When they get their clients, you'll see how easy it is to get that first client because they go, oh, okay, you can fix my problem. Got it, come on in. You have no resistance for those first few clients and then clients then on, because you have to convince anybody. They already agree with you that they have a problem and the problem's driving them crazy. Yes. Perfect. All right.
And I'm still doing that. It's kind of on the back burner right now. But I wanted to try constructing something from the ground up with this other approach and see, how that would go in comparison. And so far, this has worked a lot better.
Yeah. So you joined Business Builder in February, and then what was the niche that you chose?
My niche is yoga studios who host international retreats.
Cool. Nice and niched. Love it. I remember you. I remember that. That's right. I remember this.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of people through the program, so little details I remember. Okay, cool. Yoga studios who put on international retreats.
Again, like with Andrew, see how fucking niche that is? See how crazy narrow that is? Perfect. Perfect.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, not
Yep.
just
And
yoga.
the service that you
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, not just yoga studios.
Right.
Right? That's not a niche. That's a
Right.
niche.
That's an industry. Yoga is a
Right.
huge industry, not a niche. Right.
But international yoga retreats, now we're talking about a niche.
I love
Absolutely
it.
specialized. We love this.
I love people in Business Builder so much because this is how Billy and I and all the coaches and a lot of other people wish all business owners were like. They're choosing narrow niches and are addressing those problems instead of saying, well, what we talked about. I just love it. I love it. This is why Ben was successful. But anyway, we gush too much.
are offering the niche is
How to get more clients with the focus on email marketing. And yeah, so that's with the focus on email marketing. That's been the biggest thing. Because out of the people I talk to, the main way they get clients is either through word of mouth, repeat customers, or email.
right. Okay. Cool. So you're kind of leaning into something they're already comfortable with. That's pretty
Also smart. So he's addressing a problem they have. They want more clients. And that's a relatively common problem with a lot of niches, but not all of them. But he's using the offering as something they're already comfortable with. Oh, we do email already, so I want to help you do email marketing, get new clients. Instead of he's not coming and saying, hey, we can use an AI chat bot to da-da-da-da, then he'd have to convince them why to use an AI chat bot. So, I mean, just perfect.
That's a good idea. Okay. And so for a while you didn't get any clients, and then you started talking to someone, and so give me the timeline. In June you started talking to this person, is that right?
So it was about July that I started
okay.
kind of going back and forth with her. I got connected with this person through someone who, it was during the part in the program where you reach out to, make a list of everyone you know and just start calling all of your contacts.
Cool.
So there was someone who I worked with at
This is
my
awesome.
store, my like grocery store that I'm working at.
Yeah.
And she referred me to her friend who does retreats. So I got
Cool.
connected with her through a mutual coworker.
So you asked your friend, this is the niche I'm helping. Do you know anyone in this niche?
Yes.
That's
Yep.
exactly what we're talking. Okay, great. Awesome.
See how easy that is?
Mhm.
Because he's niched.
Oh, I didn't know that detail. That's so cool. Okay. So then you talk to this new person.
Yeah.
Mutual-
So starting kind of like mid-July, got connected with her, called her, just kind of did like a basic like intro call to see what her business was all about. And really just let her talk for it. And, she said multiple times during this first call, like, I feel comfortable with everything that I'm doing. Like I have a good basis of marketing and that sort of thing, but I'm just one person and I need help. Like I need help with all of this. I can't do it on my own anymore. So we went back and forth for, a little bit over a month, just really trying to dial in all of the details. Because she was getting a little bit hung up on the structures of my offerings,
Okay.
like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3.
Okay.
And
So you have three prices, correct? Like we talked about?
yes, yep.
Awesome. Okay.
But after just like continuing to get caught in the weeds with that, I just took a step back and I said, you know what? I will do a flexible project scope for you. And for 3 months, I will help you with anything email marketing related for this, this price. And
Great.
she was very happy with that. So that's just what we've been doing. So I'm helping her with a campaign right now. That's about a 5-week campaign for a retreat she's putting on. And then we're gonna go from there. She's very satisfied so far.
Awesome. And so let's talk money. So you have her on, so how long is the contract you have her on now?
For 3 months.
3 months. And how much
Six-
per month?
Yeah, $650 per month.
Per month.
Yep.
And this is your first client, right?
Yes. Yep.
Because that's $1,950, almost $2,000 in terms of client value.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, like in business mode, we talk about sometimes you could do your first client for free. You're actually getting paid $2,000.
Yeah.
I would
And
imagine
so-
it's not taking a hell of a time to do this.
Now, really quick, he's going to talk more about how little he has to work because he hired someone to do the client for him, to handle most of the work. But if you want to think about income adjustments, Ben, I would assume, probably makes less money at his day job working at a grocery store than Andrew did as a consultant. So you just kind of adjust the values. So $650 a month is a decent amount of money for him. A lot of you would be tickled pink to have $650 a month locked in for the next 3 months. And this is just his first client. He's going to get many other clients besides this. And he had to, well, he'll talk about this in a minute, how he had to price out the client.
No. So I did have to, slash the price to, take her on as a client, but
Which is what we teach for the first client.
yeah. Yeah,
Right.
which I was willing to do.
Get the client.
It's not free, but still making money.
Again, as I was saying about half an hour ago, the objective is to get the client. The first 1 to 3, 1 to 5, you can be as flexible as you need to. What we teach is the first 3 clients, you can be very flexible with the price. After the 4th client, no. But get the client, because then you get church testimonials, you get referrals. It's easier emotionally to get that second client. You just got to cross that hump to get that first client as fast as you can.
And I was able to find a contractor on Upwork, and he is doing
That's good.
super well. Like, it's fantastic. He's been really great. So I plan to continue working on him for future projects as well.
Is this the contractor doing work for you, for her?
Yeah, like helping out with
Right.
more of the specifics for the email campaign.
Great. Okay, so is he like a copywriter?
He is like an expert in social media management and go high level and ConvertKit, those sorts of things.
Got
So
it.
he's been helping with the more technical aspects of the specific software. And then just kind of providing, like consultative advice on like best practices and that sort of thing. So I'll get the like the written content from the client. I do a first pass and edit it, parse it down a bit, and then send it off to the contractor to see, anything else that needs to be edited. And then he goes ahead and posts it and sends out the actual email.
perfect. If you can rewind that workflow if you watch the replay of this, but that's a perfect workflow. He assesses things first, then he hands it over to his subcontractor. Subcontractor does the work, and now Ben can just start racking up clients without spending a lot of time per week. I mean, how many clients do you need at $650 a month to quit your job? I mean,
And you can choose how much of that work you do yourself and how much you outsource. Maybe
Right.
at the beginning you can't afford to outsource. That's okay. He's in a position where he can, and he's still making a margin. You don't have to pay that whole $650 or anything near it to the contractors and freelancers that you work with.
right,
This
exactly.
is thinking like a CEO. Can you
Exactly.
imagine? This is a pretty big leap from working at a supermarket to thinking like a CEO and really having that ingrained. I'm so proud of him.
Yeah, Billy and I wish we started our first business like Ben is. Right?
Oh my
Oh
God.
my God. If I had started my first business back in 1996, the way people in business are doing now, I would make so much more money. I'd have so much more money right now if I was that smart. Billy's exactly right. He's thinking like an actual business owner, CEO, not I need to get money to pay my bills, so I better get some clients. And it's perfect. Yeah.
Cool. So you're doing very little work comparatively because he's doing a lot of it.
Yeah.
Great. That means you can scale on your second client, third client, fourth
Right.
client. You can get those clients faster and easier because you've already built in a scaling mechanism into your business. You're not doing all of it.
Yes, exactly.
Very smart. So going from this, so you're still employed at the grocery store, is that correct?
Yes.
Got it. Okay. And also, when you get $650 for your own business, you're paying a lot less in taxes than you are from your salary.
Right.
Yeah.
Grocery store. I mean, you get murdered with taxes.
Yep.
I remember. This is great. And that's within a few months. This is great. So last question. If someone is looking at 90 Day Business Builder and they're like on the fence, they're like, I don't know, maybe it looks good, I'm not sure. What would you tell that person?
I would tell them to just do it. Just go for it. You have to jump in. And I am pretty active on the boards, and this, the idea of, like mindset or imposter syndrome or
Yeah.
like limiting mindset, limiting beliefs that comes up a lot. And you just have to do it. And even as you're going through it, like as I was hitting these milestones, it's like, you see everyone else getting their niche and like they are making progress with that. And you're like, oh man, it seems like I'm never going to get there kind of a thing. Like that's so far away. But then you get there and you're like, oh, okay. So this is real. This is a thing. And then it's like with each step, like even when I got my first client, I was like still like kind of in disbelief. It just is like, is this really happening? Like, no, it is legitimate.
Yep.
It does work. You still obviously have to do the work, but it's like.
Does any of that sound familiar? Because a lot of you have told me the same thing. I just can't visualize doing this. I can't believe this works. I can't believe anyone would do this. I can't believe I can't believe Ben had all the same feelings, and the vast majority of people we work with across the board have these same feelings. It's unusual to not have those feelings.
True. This is why we added a mindset coach.
Right.
Christy is phenomenal. I know that that's probably our most highly attended call of the week, and it's on a Wednesday morning. It's not exactly the most convenient time, but everyone's on that call because we all deal, Caleb and I included, we all have some of those self-limiting beliefs and, some baggage we need to clear out of the way to allow ourselves to move forward. So I'm glad he brought that up.
Me too. It's the biggest barrier to most of your business. Most of you listening to the sound of our voices, the biggest problem for most of you is not what to do. It's the shit. It's this big organ in your head called a brain. Like, but what if this? And I don't. It's that. It's all emotional. I've said this many times. I've talked with some of the channel too about dopamine and all that stuff. It's all in your head. It's not. I don't know what to do, or It's not what you think it is. But anyway.
True.
What
and
is the alternative?
That he mentioned the boards, by which he means the message boards. Yep. And we have hundreds of messages on those boards a day. So when one person jumps in and says, hey, I'm feeling anxious about making my first cold call, for example, there are going to be 10 guys and gals who jump in and say, hey, this was my experience. Or, hey, this is how I came over it. So it's by being vulnerable and open on those message boards. And we're careful that not to allow any jackasses or naughty, any rude behavior of any kind just doesn't happen. But it's this really supportive dude-mosphere that we like to be part of.
That's a good word for it. And someone in one of the last case studies we did mentioned this. He had a question, and he got within like 10 minutes, he got 3 answers from people on the boards. None of the coaches, the other people, and they were good. He's like, "Oh, this is great." So it's a community, which is kind of the point of this.
Really,
if it was just coaches yelling at you, that wouldn't do it. You need a community,
and it means more coming from guys like Ben than
right.
it does coming from Caleb and I.
Precisely, exactly right. Yeah, it has stronger weight coming from someone in many cases where someone who is at the same level you are. That's exactly
just relatability.
If you don't do this, then what are you going to do?
That.
So
I never think of that. I never think of that angle. What are you going to do if you're not going to do this? That's a very good point. I often forget about it. You're right. What are your options? I'm going to do this.
Yep.
Very, very good point. Ben, this has been great. You're one of my favorite success stories with this, because you're starting from a place where I started, where you're like, you're not starting from zero, but you're starting from a place that you wouldn't expect a business owner to start from.
Right.
And I know you're going to get more clients. So this is the worst it will be. This is how good it is, but it's going to get better from here. Yep. Even though $10,000 to your first client, that's more than I got from my first client.
Yeah,
that's great.
Oh yeah.
But this has been great. Thank you very much. This has been awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, going back to what are you going to do? What is your plan if you're not going to set up your own location of independent business? What's your plan other than voting for Trump? What's your plan? Because that's not going to work either. Number one. Number two is, when he said $2,000, I'm like, I didn't get $2,000 from my first client. Not even close to that.
No, a couple hundred. I was so stoked with a couple $100.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah, I remember those. Yes, exactly. So here's what we're going to do now. We got some time left. I'm going to do really quick, talk to you guys about how Business Builder is going to work this week. If you sign up this week, I've added a month. Cover that really fast.
Really?
Then Billy, yes. So then Billy, I want to talk to you really quick about LLCs, because I talked about other logistics, but I want to get your opinion on setting that up. Because we had Vincenzo on last week talking about foreign LLCs, so we'll talk about that when you're setting up a new business, LLC. I want you to address that if we want. And then any other topic you want to address, and then we'll get to questions. Okay, guys, that's what we'll do for the next little bit here. All right, really quick, I'll be sharing my screen really fast. I'll post this really quick because a lot of you already know this. I have so many things in my screen now. I have all these like videos and stuff. Okay, present. I don't want to do this wrong. Slide, camera, share screen. See, it's so sad I have a tech background, and I'm so old now that I'm not cool with technology anymore because I'm an old man, and that's just the way this goes. All right, really fast. I'll post this really quick. If you don't know what Business Builder is, a lot of you do. We work with you for 12 weeks. It's 90 days. Now, it's actually more than 90 days. If you sign up this week, cover that in a second. We guarantee you will be making real money within 12 weeks, or you will work with us forever until you do. And in some cases, you can keep working with us after that, like Ben, but that's an exception. So you can make payments if you want up to 3 to 4 months or a year, depending on what country you live in and your credit score. You don't have to pay it all at once. It's a few $1,000s. It's also tax deductible. You write 100% of this off on your taxes. Even if you don't have a business yet, you can write it off your employee income. You can actually do that. Check with your accountant, please. Every country is different. You get 3 live trainings per week. So it's a total of 36. However, we have 2 additional live trainings per week that are unofficial. So you actually get 5. And these are not videos you watch. These are people like me, Billy. We've got, how many coaches do we have? 8? 6?
At least 8 or 9 at least. 8
or 9. Okay. Yes, and they're all specialists. We're all location independent business owners. You get actual, and then so you have Q&A. It's a real actual thing. It's not just watching videos.
And we're not just a bunch of Americans either. Caleb and I are. Well, Caleb kind of is now. But we literally have coaches from around the world. Australia, Europe.
Yep, correct.
Yeah,
lots of different. Worldwide program.
Yeah.
Correct, that's a good point. Thank you very much. Jan's from France. Gary's from Australia. Correct, we've got people from all over the world. The sessions, if you miss them, are recorded. So if you miss them, you can watch them and they're yours forever. Even after you leave the program, they're yours forever. You are going to be in our base camp, which is our project management system, where you have you get all of your assignments in there. You'll be working with an accountability coach that helps you literally every day going through all your assignments. We have a very specific curriculum we walk you through over the 90 days. Actually, it's more than 90 days now. Structured curriculum, I already talked about that. Accountability coaches. So if you fall behind in your assignments, we have accountability coaches who help you. If you run into problems, you can ask them. Plus, you can ask the message boards.
Yeah.
So we have those two. I don't think it's on my list here, but it should be.
I'm in there I'm in there at least 4 days a week, sometimes 6. I try to behave and not do it every day. But
Yeah.
Speaking of dopamine, because a lot of people don't know this unless they're in the business builder, is that y'all in the program supply my dopamine in the morning. So instead of doom scrolling on socials or something, I go through the message board and see what everyone's up to and answer their questions. Like in a really cool addiction.
Right. You also have access to about 25 custom how-to videos. Most of them are done by me. Billy's done some of the other coaches have done these on things like the exercises, how to find a niche, how to determine your price, copywriting, how to handle a cold call, how to do reach outs, all those things. These are videos that are not available in any other course I have anywhere on the entire internet, no matter what bundle you have bought from me in the past. They're only for Business Builder because 90-Day Business Builder is the number one most important thing that I work on and I sell in all my companies. Number one, hardcore, because this is the core of everything I do on the internet. So that. Then we throw in a few of my courses. Alpha 2.0 business course. It's about 6 hours. So we throw that in for free. That's yours. We also have the How to Get Clients course. That's about 5 hours. I think it's 13 ways how to get clients, both for free and for paid. Then I also throw my book, Big Income from Little Work, on how to set up a location independent business. So we just throw those in for free as bonuses. What's that?
Big Income from Little Work is like my favorite. Absolutely love it. I
got to get that on. I got to get the Audible version. I don't think that's ready. Anyway, so 90daybizbuilder.com. Now, special, just this week, I did a variation of this about a month ago, and it was very popular. I can't do it again because I said a month ago I can't do this again. So I'm going to do a slight variation of this because you guys like this. This is based on what you guys said you liked. Okay? If you sign up by the deadline, which is Monday, September, what is Monday? 30th. Okay? Only this week. If you sign up before Monday, September 30th, you also get this. I'm going to add an entire month for free. So, and it's not 190 days. It's not, 90 days anymore. It's 120 days. So that extends the coaching you get by another entire month. And it extends the guarantee you have another month to make your money. It will give you more time on both. So it's 90-day business builder, but actually for the next week, it's 120-day business builder.
Cool.
I'm also going to throw in when you're there, only if you sign up this week. This is not a part of the program. I don't do group coaching sessions. I do presentations. I do some of the sessions where I present the curriculum and do little questions at the end. I just did one this morning. If you sign up this week, you also get a 1-hour group coaching session with me, wide open, any questions you want. I mean, other coaches are invited, but this is only for people who do this, who sign up this week, and then the ones who signed up last month. And that's it with me. You also get a 1-hour other group coaching session with another 90-day business builder coach. I haven't determined who that is. It could be Billy, where same deal, just that coach and just the people who get in on this week and last month. That's it. For that coach, you can ask them anything you want, which we don't. This is not part of the program. We don't do open Q&A things with specific coaches. We don't do this.
Never.
We do a lot of other stuff, but this is extra. Now, something else. If you want to get the extra free month and the extra coaching, but you don't want to start Business Builder now, you can sign up this week before Monday, and then you can start at any time in the next 12 months. So if you want to start, because a lot of you have talked about this, a lot of you, matter of fact, we've had people sign up who did this last time. If you want to start in November or December or next February or next July because you're moving or you're trying to figure out something in the next few months and you want to start now, but you want this extra free month and this extra coaching, you can sign up now and you can start anytime you want, not forever, but up until 12 months from now. So if you want to start next summer, that's fine to get the free month. Cool? Cool. Okay. So 90daybizbuilder.com. Monday night is the deadline to sign up, not to schedule the call. So you got to schedule a call, get the call, you got to sign up and at least make your first payment by Monday night, midnight EST. That's September 30th, end of the month. It's a nice cutoff for the month. Cool? Cool. Now let me see if there's anything else here. I just added up all the stuff you get. So that's $2,250 free if you sign up this week. This week. If you're after this week, you don't get this stuff. Sorry. And you actually can't sign up until you open it again. 90daybizbuilder.com. Now, one quickie thing really fast. The immersion event that I'm doing where you're on a live stream with me for 12 hours a day for 4 days straight, a bunch of you have already signed up for that. So one of the things you get with that is you get $1,000 off Business Builder. So if you've already signed up for the immersion, you can now sign up for Business Builder, get your free month off, and get $1,000 off. You just say to the guy on the phone, hey, I signed up for Caleb's immersion thing. I want my $1,000 off. You can do that right now. Okay. Number one. Number two is you can still do this if you want to start Business Builder later. So if you're going to do my immersion thing in November, great. But let's say I don't want to start Business Builder until like January or February. You could still sign up now, get your $1,000 off, and then start later. You can combine all these things. That makes sense? Hope that makes sense.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I just came up with this over the weekend. I'm like, this makes sense. I might as well let them do this. If you have not signed up for the immersion program, you can still sign up. That discount code doesn't work anymore. You can still sign up. You can sign up for that this week, then sign up for Business Builder and get the $1,000 off, and you'll get the free month. If you're going to plan on doing both anyway, if you weren't planning on doing both, then don't. But if you were kind of thinking about doing both, you can sign up for the immersion thing, get your $1,000 off, then sign up for Business Builder, get your $1,000 off, and then start Business Builder whenever you want. So that's at www.caleb.top/shadow for the immersion event if you're interested in doing that. If you're not, then don't worry about that. But if you were thinking about doing both anyway, you can do it now, get your $1,000 off and your free month, if that all makes sense. Cool? Cool. All right. Okay. Let's see. Billy, so what I didn't talk about for business logistics a little bit ago was LLC. And I told them that my opinion is you do the LLC later, but you have a different perspective on this. And then could you talk about the minimal needed to set up an LLC? We use American examples, but you guys are not American. You can set up an LLC in your own country. That's fine too. Can you give me your overview on should you set up an LLC for a new business? When should you do it and how should you do it? Because you have better insight on this than I do.
So my opinion is very different to yours, Caleb.
Yes.
I believe that you have no place being a business owner if the first thing you do isn't start your LLC. Once you understand what you're going to be selling and who your client avatar is, that is the point for me. If you're right, if you have a name for your business, if you're creating a website, that's the time to form your LLC. In most of the United States, it takes about 5 minutes online. I am not exaggerating. You literally enter the name, your address, who the owners of the business are, who speaks for the business, meaning yourself, or if you desire to hire a registered agent, is someone that can file that for you and maintain your annual filings. So you make that decision, you pay a few bucks, and that's it. It is a very, very simple process in the US.
And how is that beneficial to a new business owner?
So it's incredibly beneficial because it protects all of your personal assets and separates the business. So you can then get a federal tax ID number for the business rather than using your social security number as well. So essentially your personal assets are not on the line if someone were to sue the business.
I'll give you a quick example of how that protected me. So I've mentioned this before, 2009 was one of the worst financial years of my life, or at least my self-employed life, which I guess is most of my life. I had a great year in my personal life. It was right after my divorce, but financial, I was spending so much time in my personal life, I let my businesses kind of go sort of. So 2009 was kind of a mess for me. It was right after my divorce. And around that time, I believe it was the state of Oregon. Either it was the federal government, I think it was the state of Oregon. I was behind on some taxes. And so the state of Oregon said, we're going to garnish you owe, I don't remember the numbers. This is a long time ago. You owe $7,000 of taxes. We're going to garnish your account. And so I said, oh no, I was all scared. So my personal account, I had like $300. In my business checking account under my LLC, like Billy was talking about, I had like $20,000. Okay. So they garnished me. They did. They went in and took the $7,000 out of my personal account because that's Caleb. If DCS International, whatever company name was that back then, I forget what it was. It's a separate EIN number. It's a separate social security. So they took $300 out of my personal account, and that was it. The $20,000 sat in my business account at the same bank and was completely untouched because they couldn't garnish my business. They could only garnish me. That's the protections you have. That's an example. Of course, I later paid the taxes, but that's the protections you have, not just from, well, things from like, garnishments or people suing you for stupid reasons, or if you get divorced, you have a horrible spouse that wants to, all these things. Billy is right. The LLC protects you.
It does. And in most of the United States, it's around $150 to $200 to do your initial filing.
Mhm.
If you choose, or in some states you need a registered agent, such as Delaware, that's usually $50 to $100 a year for their services.
What website did they go to for that?
And all you need to do once a year. Say that again?
Sorry, you're breaking up a little teeny bit. What website do they go to? They just Google their state? Where do they go?
Yep. The
America.
Secretary of State. In the United States, it is the Secretary of State, Department of
Corporations?
Oh, what is it? Corporations and
If they did
charities.
if they did Secretary of State space the name of their state, they'll get it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you just Google that. If you're not an American, very similar. Most Western countries call it LLC. Sometimes they call it LTD. It's the same thing. Just Google Secretary of State or Department of Corporations or Department of Commerce or something in your state or your province, and you'll go to that page. And then the way that works is I was talking about setting up your own checking account. To be clear, you set up your LLC first, then you set up your checking account because you're going to set up your checking account under your LLC. You don't set up that separate personal account I was talking about and then go set up your LLC. LLC first, then you take your paperwork to the bank, same bank you bank at, and say, I want a business checking account under my LLC, please. And they'll set that LLC under the EIN number instead of your social security number. Cool?
Yep. An
Cool.
extra layer of protection, and it's very, very cheap and important layer, in my opinion. And it's the first step to really becoming official.
Yeah.
And it's easy enough that each of you can figure it out yourselves. And I'm not joking.
It's not hard.
I mean, honestly, I think my niece, when she was in 7th grade, did this as an exercise.
That's awesome.
So not exaggerating, y'all can do this. I promise. And if you can't, there are plenty of businesses that can help you with it. There are plenty of registered agents. And of course, you can always reach out to me and we can give you some advice as well.
Do you have anything general to say about setting up logistics? What I told them was I gave them the quick rundown, like setting up your QuickBooks and setting up your payment system, setting up your website. But my overall message to them was, and feel free to comment on this, or if you have some other message about setting up logistics, and we'll get to questions. What I said to them was, don't fuck with this for months and months and months and months and months. Get the minimal done you need to get 1, 2, 3 clients. And then once you're making some money, then you can go back and tweak shit. But don't spend 6 months or a year setting up your website or your blog or your social media or your banking or your legal or your checkbook or whatever that shit. That's kind of what I told them. But what's your overall message for them in terms of the logistics part of setting up their new business?
So the actual logistics in terms of, registering your business, getting a business tax number from your country, and getting business insurance if that's something you're interested in. I know it's something I have. Caleb, I don't think you do.
I do.
So really those things can be done in a week very easily, even if you've never touched it before. It is very achievable, and I think that's the best use of your time. I also think using project management tool should be the fundament of every single business that exists in the universe. I don't care what tool you use, but getting information out of your head and into a repository where other people can do something with it and actions can be taken, I think that's the key. because we get so busy looking at our stupid cell phones, our email, Slack, WhatsApp, all of this other crap that's coming in.
Right.
We
Right.
need a source for all truth and a place to track everything. I don't want to have to remember, where did I see that? Where did Susie contact me? Where did Caleb message me? I want to know that it's all in one place so that
Right.
I can track all of that data. I can make notes on what I'm doing. I can make crib sheets for myself for next time I have to do it. And then I can create standard operating procedures that I hand off to other people. I can check their work in my project management tool. I can forecast workloads. There are so many things I can do. And in my opinion, you can't very successfully scale a business until you have really solid business systems and operations. So you don't need a fancy website. You don't need a website at all, frankly. I haven't had one until recently, like in the last couple of months.
I mentioned that. Yeah. You don't even need a website. It's
Yeah,
helpful.
you don't need any of this stuff.
Right.
Is it nice? Yes. Don't spend 2 weeks on a logo, because guess what? It doesn't actually matter that much.
Right.
And
Logo,
probably
right.
we said
Logo,
this
my God.
earlier, right? Like,
Fuck.
your website doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing that you do does. What's the most important thing is just to get moving. You can always change things. You can always improve them. But if you don't take some sort of action, nothing's going to happen. So make sure that is an action you want to take. That's actually important. That's leading you toward your goal, not giving you a side quest that you're wasting time on.
And what she's referring to are things like Basecamp, Asana. What else? What are some other common?
ClickUp, Monday,
ClickUp.
like.
They're all fine. We use Basecamp. And Billy, famously, I've told the story many times. When I started working with Billy back in 2018, a billion years ago, the first thing out of her mouth was, I wasn't using Basecamp. I was just using like Google Docs. And she's like, you're going to start using Basecamp. I said, okay. And one of the best decisions I ever made. I'm glad she made me do it. It changed everything. And she's right. You can't scale if you don't have something like that in place. You can't. You can't.
That literally is the source of all truth for all of your staff, myself included, as a vendor. Right. If it's not in Basecamp, it didn't happen. If we don't make notes on it, it didn't happen. And again, he can see what's overdue. Do I have overdue assignments? Caleb and his staff can see that.
With one click.
Yep. And for the entire teams.
Awesome.
So it's been a great tool.
Very good point. Excuse me. All right. Let's do questions. We've got a lot. You guys have good questions. Let me scroll back up to the top where I was left off. Have you, and Billy, chime in on either one of these, on any of these questions. Have you or your companies ever worked with unions? Are they a pain to work with / professional whiners? You want to answer that? I have an answer. Have you done that?
I have done some work in union corporations. I have not worked directly with the unions per se. So I've had interactions, but I haven't, been a delegate. I think that it's very much like working in the government or in a very large corporation.
Exactly.
It is just very hard to get your foot into the door. It doesn't mean that, a group of professional whiners is handing you a group of professional opportunities. So even if you view them in that light, I personally don't. But if that's the light you view them in, hey, opportunity, baby. We love opportunity.
Billy took the words out of my mouth. It is the equivalent of working with the government. Can you make money working with government contractors and clients? Yes, but the paperwork and the bullshit and the nightmare, in my opinion, is it worth it? Now, is it worth it? I know guys who work at the private sector, but they work with government agencies and they make money. It works, but my God, and same thing with unions. I've worked with a lot of construction companies that were unionized, and it worked, but it's a bunch of extra bullshit. And so if you can make a lot of money working with non-union and non-governmental entities, why not? It's easier and faster and less stress and less paperwork. So why not?
As your first business, guys, do yourself a favor.
Yeah.
Don't go for the big shiny brass ring. Go for the penny on the ground, because those pennies add up and they will give you the skills and the finances to afford to go after that bigger company, that bigger goal, that bigger
Right.
price ring.
Right.
But it is not, if you jump into that, you're going to struggle and you may drown. And I sure as hell, as your business auntie, do not want that to happen.
Right.
So do yourself a favor, find an easier path to entry and let that business monetize your bigger projects.
Correct. Very exactly. She just said perfect. That's exactly right. Let's see. Any way to reduce taxes? Well, that's kind of a general question. Will taxes increase living abroad? Taxes will increase in the Western world, period, no matter what you're doing. If you don't live in the Western world, you will encounter either no tax increases or far less. I make significant money and I'm in the dreaded 50% bracket. Yeah, Any way to get this down? If you're an American, I don't know what country you're from. If you're an American, you go to store.calebjones.com. I have a mini course called Cut Your Taxes. Get that. It's like $150. Get that course. Now, it only applies to Americans. If you're not American, it will like half apply, but that's kind of a very general question. Start your own business, quit your job, internationalize.
And
I pay about 5% total of my taxes.
Even if you don't want to internationalize, if you're an American, make your LLC, make your business in a state that doesn't have personal income tax, like South Dakota, which is my favorite.
Right. All right. And Billy has a service where she'll get your residency in South Dakota. Right.
Yeah, I have to go there anyway. I love it there. And we have some really good vendors. And they have an easy DMV.
Right. And if you're an American, you can get an LLC and add an S election onto it. And that can help you with, sounds like you have a job. So none of this will help you unless you start your own business.
Yep.
So go to 90daybusinessbuilder.com. Sign up this week. We'll work with you for a month, which is less than you need. I mean, more than you need. And you'll be fine. So that's number one way to cut your taxes, start your own business. So I mentioned to Ben, his $650 he's getting from his client once a month is taxed at like maybe 1/5 what he's getting his paycheck from that grocery store at a minimum. So there you go. That's the answer. Is it better to use your name or business name, build a personal brand or a business brand? That depends on what you're doing. That depends on the type of business you have, and it depends on the niche, and it depends on what you're offering. So I have, obviously, Caleb Jones is a brand. I've chosen to build a branded-based business. Billy is kind of the opposite. Billy's more of a business brand, although Billy now has her own brand, business auntie. So either one works. There's no right or wrong answer. It depends on what type of business you have, who is your niche, and what are you selling.
And what do you want to do?
And that, yes.
If I really didn't want to lean into the business auntie because I love being one and I love that the guys call me this, if I didn't want to lean into that, I wouldn't have to be a public face like this.
Right. Correct. There's an article in my blog, like in the last 1 or 2 weeks, where can you build a business being anonymous versus building a business as a personal brand? People see your face. Go read that article. So that's at calebjones.com/blog. I go through the details on that. And basically, I break down more about what type of business you want. What do you want? Billy's right. What is your personality? Some people don't want their picture. Some people don't want to show videos of themselves. Now, I've said many times, if you show your picture, Gary Vee is right about this. If you do show your picture and you're on video, you'll make more money because people will trust you more and click on you more and buy your stuff more. I made a lot more money when I started getting public on the internet than when I was Black Dragon many years ago selling dating books. I mean, I made money, but I make a lot more now because you see me. You see I'm real. And the next level to that is doing live streams. So you're seeing me and Billy right now live, unless you're watching the recording on YouTube or the podcast, which is fine. But we're recording this live. This is really us. If we make an error or fuck up, this is really us. So this builds even more trust, which is one of the reasons I switched from doing uploaded videos to live streams, because videos can be edited and make me look perfect. And you're seeing me as I really am and Billy right now. This is really us. It's live. So you can't get more real than that. So,
and
but again,
this is how we talk to each other too.
Right. This is real. Yeah, right. How do you research your niche? Well, that's a very general question. You want to answer that and summarize it, or I can, Billy? What do you think?
I'm not sure if you're asking about a niche that you've already chosen. In which
Oh, good
case, we
point.
do validation outreach by literally picking up the phone and
Right.
calling businesses to find out what their problems are, what annoys them, what wastes their time, what wastes their money, right? What annoys them, what they wish could go away. And we record those answers. That's how we do the research. Now, on the other hand, if you're asking how do we find a niche, Caleb, why don't you take that one?
So first, I'm going to summarize. It's a big process. It takes like a month, longer than a month in business, but we spend a lot of time on this because it's the biggest decision you make in terms of setting up your business. Yeah, it's the hardest and the biggest decision. So we take our time with this. When we first started Business Builder, we just had this like 2 weeks, and we realized really fast, okay, wait, we need a lot longer on this than 2 weeks. This is not working. So we spent like 5 weeks on this. So anyway, it's a 5-stage process. See if I remember the stages without looking at my notes. You brainstorm the niche. So there's various brainstorming techniques you use. You brainstorm, you get as many ideas as you can, even if they're stupid. You narrow that down to your top 5. You confirm the top 5 are real. Then you narrow that down to your top 2. And then you confirm that they're easily findable on the internet or something like that, and that they have real problems. So you just start from very broad down to very specific. And during this entire process, I'm doing this Trump thing. As I mentioned earlier, instead of saying, I'm good at this, so I'm going to do this, you take yourself out of the equation when you look at these brainstormed lists. You can insert yourself back in later, but when you make these brainstorm lists of niches and you're Googling around or AIing around and you're coming up with ideas, you take yourself out of it. And the more you take yourself out of it, the more successful you tend to be.
And what we do during the niche finding, because this is the hardest part for, I would say about 75% of the people.
Yeah.
Some people struggle with the marketing. Some people struggle with the technical side, setting up their website and their banking and things. But the bulk of people struggle the most and question themselves and overthink at the niche phase. So what we do is we have 4 different coaches, 4 different dedicated sessions with different coaches so that you can hear things phrased in a different way, information presented differently so that it resonates with you. Because we understand that Caleb might say something that just doesn't quite work for you. I might phrase it a little bit differently, and all of a sudden it sticks. So to that end, we have 4 coaches and a bunch more who just really like helping with niche. But you'll, at the bare minimum, there are 4 of us that will give you a very long session. We tend to go well over our allocated hour.
Well, tell them how long that last one was that me and Jeff talked about. How long did that session go for?
2 weeks, 2 Saturdays ago, it was 4.5 hours. I did that one. And then last week was just over 5 hours. Because
5 hours.
If people have questions, we don't expect everyone to stay on the whole time, guys.
No, you don't stay on the whole time.
Let me just tell you that. But if there are people that still have questions, because for me, this is like legacy work. People always ask why I do this, right? It's my legacy. I'm allergic to children. You, my business nieces and nephews.
You are my children.
You are my legacy. And because I feel this way, and I know the other coaches feel similarly, we're just very emotionally attached to the 90-Day Business Builder and other programs. We're going to go above and beyond, and there will be long sessions because if you have questions, we genuinely want to answer them for you. And if it means that we yak on the phone for 4 or 5 hours, I guess we'll do that.
And that's one of 5 sessions you get per week. I mean, you get a lot for your money for this program.
Yeah.
You get a lot of bang. I mean, I've talked about this internally to our own team. This should be a $10,000, $15,000 program. It's not. It's nowhere near that. It's a tiny fraction of that. That's what it should be. Anyway, so yes. Let's see. I'm Brazilian. What do you think about building a business in both languages? By the way, I speak English. My opinion is, as part of your niching and your branding, you pick one language and you completely lean into it. One of the guys I'm coaching with on my one-on-one coaching, which I don't do a lot of because I'm a little expensive, but one of the guys I'm coaching has a business that is very niched. He is he's European. He speaks fluent and raised in the Spanish language. So he's a Spanish guy, but he speaks fluent English. He could absolutely do English if he wants. And I'm telling him, no, stick with Spanish in this niche. I am the da-da-da-da-da guy who does da-da-da in this for the Spanish speaking da-da-da-da. So my opinion is pick a language and just lean 100% into it.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing something very weird. That's my general opinion. Can I write off my trips when I file taxes by looking at real estate? I am not a tax accountant, and I don't know for sure. I'm pretty sure the answer is no. You can write off taxes if you go on a job interview. I've heard this. If you're an American.
Or if you're going to a conference.
Conference, definitely.
Like that.
Go to an event, absolutely. But looking at real estate, I don't think so.
If you choose to come on any of the trips with Caleb or I, because there's business content in everything.
That's all deductible,
that
yeah.
is deductible.
But any of our events, yeah. Hell yeah. We've just looking at real estate, but we have real estate. We have a real estate thing down here in our Paraguay events where guys go look at real estate. Yeah, Billy puts those on. Yes. And so that's because it's part of a package. It's absolutely deductible. Yes. Not absolutely. Always check with your accountant. Laws vary in every country and region. Blah, blah, blah. That's my standard disclaimer. Do you have a Dutch coach? I assume you mean business builder. No, but we have a lot of Dutch friends here in Paraguay. A whole bunch.
We really do. In fact, I am mentoring one of our Dutch friends in Paraguay, and I talk to him every single week.
Cool.
And we are definitely starting to do some outreach to the Dutch audience. So, yeah.
It's a good audience.
Keep an eye on it.
I mean, Lester down here is making money from it.
Lester is bringing between 2 and 10 people down to Paraguay from the Netherlands every single week.
Per week, and that's just the Netherlands. That's how fast people are escaping Europe. Good. So, I mean, yeah, man. Again, niched. He's niched based on a region. So, yes, I mean, we can't overstate that.
Yes, we love our Dutch friends.
Sorry. What's that?
We love our Dutch friends, including the person who asked on this call.
We do. Mario, I do not answer woman questions this live stream, and talk to me on Wednesday. What's the best?
Answer is if someone tells you to leave them alone, especially at work. Auntie Billy's going to tell you this. Leave them the fuck alone.
Billy's going to kick ass now.
Mario, I love you.
Billy's going to kick your ass.
You're a wonderful kid, Mario. I love you. But especially at work, if they say no, just done. Leave it alone.
Just do whatever Billy says.
Yep. At least on these calls.
Yeah. What's the best program for me, 90 Day Business Builder or Freedom Flight Path? I haven't decided on a niche yet, not fixed on one single strategy yet, but I think a done for you aspect can help me. Well, that's the big difference, done for you or done with you.
Yeah.
And you probably explain this better than I can, Billy, but Billy gives you like a menu of niches and you pick one, right?
Essentially, we give you a menu. So let's say that there are 150 flavors on the menu, and each of those has 4 or 5 variations. And then we also give you a list of 37 different services that you can offer. And we give you the tool to offer those services with. I think Andrew earlier had mentioned Go High Level. So we own a platform called M Suite, which is based on the Go High Level platform, but it has a whole lot more stuff in it, a whole lot more.
I told the guys earlier, M Suite is an option where you can do it all on one platform for their logistics instead of having one for email and one for this and one for your websites, where it's like a super Kartra.
Yeah, it's better than Kartra.
Billy, what's the website for M Suite?
Really quick. Is getmsuitepro.com.
Yeah. That's instead of getting Kartra or Kajabi or Entreport.
Yeah, because they're all lacking in a few things.
Yes, they
That's why we got High Level and why we bundled on a bunch of other services, including a 24/7 support.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's realistically, there are many, many functionalities within that tool. And we picked out 37. Of course, you could always come up with more of your own, but services that we know that are vetted and that these companies need. So you pick from column A, you pick from column B, and you've got a business. And then we teach you how to do the rest. So yeah, it just depends on what your level of comfort is and what you're looking for in a program. You're going to have access to similar people, no matter which one you're with, because the Boss Cooperative team really loves Caleb.
It's all us.
So, yep, it's all us. You're going to be stuck with us regardless, which is a great place to be.
You've got the next 2 or 3 questions are for you. So on project management tools and chat functions, how do you handle chat and email for persons you've hired in your teams? Do you prioritize batch messaging a few times a day or quick responses?
So that's a really personal decision. I like to be responsive on the fly if I'm at my machine, because people don't bother me very often. I know that if I'm being given a notification by project management, that it's something they need a response to, and that's holding them up. So personally, I still batch. I'll do it every couple of hours. So maybe I'll get up and stretch my legs, get some water, let the dogs out, and I'll come back and look at those pings or the chats and respond. And I'll do that several times throughout the day. But if you're happier doing it twice a day, once a day, like that's up to you. Set the rhythm that works.
It's more of a time management.
It is.
Yeah.
And what I do with my freelancers, and this is a little different to what most people do, is I give them a company email straight away. I make them sign up for, in our case, we use LastPass as a password protection tool and for sharing. So they sign up for a LastPass account using the business email that I provided them. And then we give them an invitation to Basecamp because, frankly, it's the easiest tool to use that you can't possibly mess up and has the easiest learning curve out there. So for newbies, it doesn't matter. You know, if I'm working with a 70-year-old contractor, he can still figure it out.
Right.
I give them access to the Basecamp with the company email and tell them, like, keep everything in the Basecamp. If it's not in the Basecamp, it doesn't exist. It didn't happen. So they're not allowed to email me stuff. They're not allowed to WhatsApp me unless it's a freaking emergency.
That's right. They're not allowed.
They're not allowed to text me. They're not. I don't have Slack, nor will I ever have Slack. Right? That's just not how we work. I get to tell my staff what we do. I get to create the ethos in my business, right? And what I want to be surrounded by is easily accessible knowledge. The way I have easily accessible knowledge is by making everyone provide it in as simple a way as possible. And what that does, guys, the hugest benefit of all of this is that at the end of the day, you have, how many meetings do you have, Caleb, to manage all of the projects and all of the people that you have? How many meetings?
I have meetings on Mondays and Wednesdays are my meeting days.
And that's how many hours?
In meetings, let's see, 3, 4, 5 hours of meetings a week, maybe a little more than that.
All of your projects. And I'm about the same. I'm less than 8 hours of meetings a week across, 7, 8 different projects and companies of my own.
You got more companies than I do.
But the way we do that is by putting everything into project management, creating templates, adding SOPs. It is the truth of all. And I think it's incredibly important. And I noticed that there was a question about LinkedIn companies. Do I think it's important? And the answer is yes. Like, it doesn't matter what company you have. Project management should be something that you're using from the get-go.
So the next question is similar but different. So he's not asking about, he asked me earlier and I said, I gave him my answer, but I said, you really should ask Billy. Okay. He's asking about, is project management an important skill for him to learn for a location independent business? And if so, how would he go about learning it? Is there a course he should take on project management? To give you context, I said, don't fucking worry about it. Get Basecamp and focus on marketing / sales and implementation for your clients. That was my answer. But I said, you really should ask Billy. So take it away.
So my answer is a little different. First of all, I would say with something like Basecamp, find a half-hour tutorial online. That's all you're ever going to need. And I'm not joking. Now, if you use Asana, it takes a little bit more setup. If you're using Brike or Monday, they're a lot more robust. It's a lot more setup. And there's a steeper learning curve. I don't think, unless you're in a manufacturing corporation or you're churning and burning, 500 properties a year in the sale market, unless you're doing something that is incredibly complex and incredibly huge,
right?
Basecamp is going to serve you very well for almost everything.
Which you're not in a new business, is my point. You're not going to do anything complex or huge in a new business. You're not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what we do is literally watch a tutorial, get the basics, and then you start using it in the way that makes sense for you. So for me, I like to have everything captured in as granular a way as possible, right? So I have an SOP, standard operating procedure, that I wrote. It's a document in my project management tool that says this is how you create a new Boss Cooperative email account. this is how you send that to the person who's receiving it, right? So it's
Right.
all of these really granular steps. And then I can use that template every time I have to do a task and just click, 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 click. And I never miss a detail. And I think that's the most important thing. Many of the tasks that we do as we're building a business and as we're, working in our business to sustain it is we're not looking for these improvements. We want things to take less time, but we don't set it up to be that way. Nor do we have good strategies in place to capture information that we only need to use once or twice a year. So I use my Basecamp as the tool that tells me, hey, you need to do this filing for next year, and here's how you do it. Right? Here's a sample, or here's a video. And that's my source of truth, because then when it's due, I don't have to wonder, how the hell did I do this before? Where did I put this? How did I figure it out? I provide it to myself. Right. And as a result, my staff can see it as well. Mm-hmm. And I can also then look back at the end of the year and see how far I've come, or at the end of a week and see how much I've accomplished and what's on my plate coming up. I think that if you are going to own any business, project management, which helps very, very much with time management, is a fundamental skill. And
time management, I would say time management tools, not necessarily go take a course how to do time management.
No, you don't need to, unless it's something you struggle with, in which case groups like Founders Sanctum, where the coaches and the other members hold you accountable and help break down the different barriers and roadblocks that you might be coming into as you go through your week. I think a group like that is probably more effective than taking a deep dive into project management, because you don't need it. You need to learn as much as you need to take the next step.
Right. All right, just a few more questions. We're going to burn through these really quick because I've got to go. Let's see. Would you suggest using Ghost for blogging over WordPress? I read that Ghost is best for SEO and the formatting. I don't know for sure. Historically, WordPress is the best for SEO. Ghost, I don't know if it's better or not. I would ask you to think about, where did you read that? Did you read it from one guy in a random forum? Did you read it from a Ghost website? So I would confirm that's the case. And if so, great, go for it. If not, historically, WordPress has been better for SEO. But things are changing. So it might be true, but I haven't heard that. That doesn't mean it's not true. Don't know. What if someone's asking Billy quickly, why South Dakota and not Tennessee?
Because I like it better and I think it's easier. I genuinely just think it's easier.
There you go. Okay. Caleb, where did you get your water bottle from? Okay, everyone freaks out when I drink out of this. They're like, this is amazing.
This is pretty cool.
Amazon. So just Google 64-ounce water bottle on Amazon and you'll find it. And I have two of them. For creative niches, i.e. fashion, now fashion's not a niche, that's an industry, so I hope you're more narrowly niche than just the word fashion, but okay. Would you suggest Wix or Squarespace over WordPress? I read it's better for creative niches, including industries that feature portfolios such as the arts. Yes, because WordPress is focused mostly on blogging and text content. If you're in the fashion area, then you want more frilly websites. So yes, I agree. Wix or Squarespace would be better.
Or
Billy, you have an opinion on that? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you're silly. You should just get M Suite Pro.
Or M Suite, right? Right.
Not only
do a pretty website.
Not only can you build your website there, but you have all of your other assets like your mailing list, your social posting, your scheduling, so many lead funnels, so many things. Just get M Suite.
Yep. Is it true if you move out of your Western native country to Thailand and have online income, you don't have to pay any taxes? They don't inquire. Is there a high chance of getting caught? I don't know for sure if Thailand is a territorial tax country. I don't think they are. So the question is, yeah, what is the possibility of you getting caught? Because a lot of guys do it so like, for example, a lot of guys, when they go to Mexico, Mexico is supposed to tax your worldwide income if you stay there more than 6 months a year. But a lot of Americans say, how are they going to know? So that's a decision to make for yourself. My standard blanket statement for 20 years has been, I follow the law wherever I am because I don't want to worry about it later. So even if I disagree with the law, and I'm a minarchist libertarian, I disagree with 99% of laws. I'm going to follow them. And if I hate if I hate the laws there, I will move to another country. That's my standard answer. But I don't know specific Thailand. Thailand, I don't believe is a territorial. That's Paraguay. Paraguay, you can make $10 million a year. If you live in Paraguay, you'll pay zero tax if it comes from outside of Paraguay. That's why I'm here. So that's a guarantee. Thailand is, I think, more like Mexico. If you spend X amount of months, then we do, and under a few months that we don't, and then you got to worry about enforcement, things like that. Also, do you think, what's that? Yeah, Paraguay. Paraguay for the win, dude. That's why I'm here. I've doubled down on it. Also, do you think being an AI consultant implementing automation systems via low-code and no-code tools for small dental practices is a good idea? So what you're doing is you're not specifying a niche, you're specifying a solution with the niche. So the niche in that what you just said is small dental practices. Could that be a niche?
That's not niche. That's not niched enough.
Right. That's still not niched enough. So you're focused too much on how do you know small dental practices want AI implementation automation systems with no code? No, you don't know that. You're trying to put on the niche what you want them to have. So the answer is a big no. You look at the niche first, you ask them what their problems are. And their problems may have nothing to do with fucking AI, whatever.
Yeah, but this is a good question. This is such a good and valuable question because so many people come with the solution. It is much easier for us to come up with what we think someone needs than it is to just let them tell us. So great question.
Right. Mm-hmm. Would you suggest creating a Facebook page for the LI location in a business? And what type of business would having a Facebook page be good for? My understanding right now is that was a good idea 5, 6, 7 years ago. My understanding now is that because the algorithm on Facebook pages don't really do shit unless you're already a famous person like, Hugh Jackman or something. Instead, what the best thing Facebook is used for now, and this is what I use it for, is Facebook groups. So instead of setting up a Facebook page, set up your own Facebook group in your narrow niche. And that's much more valuable because if you post something in a group, everyone in that group will see it, or most of it will see it on their Facebook feeds. Whereas if you post on a page, no one will see it. So that's that. So focus on Facebook groups, not Facebook pages. LinkedIn is different, just about Facebook. So that's it. I read on ChatGPT about ghost typing in a question made up. Yeah, don't make business decisions based on what ChatGPT tells you, please. Oh. And I use ChatGPT every day. It's a great tool. Don't make major business decisions based on ChatGPT. If you want AI to help you, ChatGPT is a starting point. Perplexity.ai is way better because it gives you links. And even then, you got to be careful. So,
oh yeah, because if you ask it to write copy, it's garbage. So use the tools.
Depends.
Use the tools for their different strengths and weaknesses.
Yes, correct. But don't make major business decisions on information you get from ChatGPT.
No, and what you can do is take the information from chat and put it through Perplexity or something.
Right.
And ask it if it's real or what's the feasibility of this.
Right. Is it okay to get a passport through backdoor routes? I know someone who can get my Argentine citizenship within a year. I know these people too. I know them in several countries. There's no blanket answer to that question. There are some scenarios we can get the backdoor stuff and it is 100% legal and enforceable. There are many scenarios where it's not, and sometimes you don't know. So again, I always default back to follow the law wherever you are. I mean, that's just my default. Could we find weird, odd exceptions? I don't know the scenario. Maybe. So,
but we also know that things that are done through backdoor channels have a much greater likelihood of being stopped in the future. Of those,
that's very true. You have less and less of these
closed, and it to be invalidated when different groups come into power. So I would never do it the backdoor way unless you are fleeing war in your country and immediate peril. And I'm not joking when I say that. Unless you're going to die, please don't set yourself up with that risk. Right.
All right. Last question. Whilst working, I love your whilst. You're very professional and very medieval.
You're very British sounding.
Hello. Whilst working on your LI business. While working on your LI business is commission-only sales, i.e. getting paid huge percentages of closing deals, a good way to get money quickly before the business takes off? Thanks for the questions. It's not relevant whether the business takes off or not. that is a valid pricing model. Percentage of improvement or commission, and as long as your niche is selling something that has very high margins, that's a big if, okay, then that's perfectly fine. And I know guys who make a lot of money on pretty much commission-only stuff, and that's fine. And it's not relevant as to whether the business takes off or not. So you could, I think what you're thinking is that for my first 1 or 2 or 3 clients, could I just do a commission-only thing? Sure, and then later convert to a fee plus commission or fee only? That's fine. No
But
problem.
make sure that you have a really strong contract. At the beginning, 15, 20 years ago, I definitely had people try to weasel out of paying me. Or claim that they sold things for a different price, whatever it is. So make sure that things are, contractually stamped.
Yes.
If you're not taking money, some kind of money up front, people are not invested the same way. So, and I know it's a little bit different with commission sales, but keep that in mind that there could be some issues if people choose not to pay and if you don't have good contract.
She's right. When my CCM business that I mentioned earlier, which was an offline location dependent business where I did marketing for IT consultants, there was a big contract. And because it was percentage of improvement, they got paid before I did, and they had to pay me a commission for sometimes as much as 2 years for that client. And so the contract stated not just you will pay me, but things like, for example, I put in that contract, I have unlimited bookkeeping audit rights for as long as we're doing business together. So that means at any time I can log into your screen remotely and go into your bookkeeping, your software with my bookkeeper and make goddamn sure that what you're telling me you're making is what you're making. So, I mean, and I verbally state that to the business owner before they sign. Do you understand? You're giving me audit rights that way they go, oh, there's no way I can fuck with this guy. I mean, much harder to lie to Caleb about how much money we're making or not. So you got to take some precautions. But the model is fine. Fine. All right. That's it for today. Thank you, Billy.
Hey, it's
Glad
my
you joined us.
pleasure. Thanks for letting me join late. I was talking to a couple of the coaches that are coming down to Mexico with me in a couple of weeks. And for any of you guys who are still interested in coming down to Cancun for our business intensive
What's the website?
retreat,
What's the website?
it is bosscooperative.com/events.
And that's Cancun. What are the dates? Cancun's one of the best places in the world to go. I mean that literally. It's one of my favorite places on the planet.
Honestly, it's less than $4,000, including your flights. For most of the world, there's a list of a couple of hundred cities around the world on our list.
And hotel and food.
It includes your food and it includes your drinks, all of your drinks, including top shelf alcohol. And it happens to be a gourmet resort as well on the beach.
Does it include lodging and hotel, everything? Lodging also?
Everything, and the coaching and a couple of activities for less than $4,000 US.
Which means that the coaching and all the events for her thing is free.
Pretty much free.
Honestly, if it pays your flight, hotel, food, and alcohol, and it's Cancun, you're getting all the business stuff for free.
And
literally,
so
you are.
Tax deductible as well.
Tax deductible to business, correct.
Exactly.
For those who ask about that,
if you're
right?
Business, it's absolutely. If you are an individual, please check with your tax professional, but I believe that is the case.
Right.
But you can still join. There are 5 more days to sign up for that trip. Again, it is bosscooperative.com/events.
And 90-Day Business Builder, Monday, EST, midnight, September 30th. If you want the extra month and the extra coaching from me, and you can start whenever you want, 90daybizbuilder.com. If you're doing the immersion event, you can sign up for that and get your $1,000 off, which is www.caleb.top/shadow. We're giving lots of websites today.
Yeah, I'm sorry to do that, but we have so many awesome things going on, you guys. It's just ridiculous how
you got someone in the chat named Bigling is going to your Cancun thing.
Is that Robert?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I know a few of the guys offhand, and I'm not sure what that street name is.
Well, he's anonymous, and that's fine. But people are going. You guys can
but hey, see you in a couple of weeks.
Cool, guys. All right. Thank you, Billy.
Thanks, Caleb. See you all soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.